Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is part 2 of What If Naruto Had a Gaming System. If you guys enjoy this what if, then comment down below and let go of the video is 100 likes, so like this video, let me that you're interested in the series and you want the next part, then go ahead and check out the other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave, also share the video with your friends and link in the description. So let's go. If someone asked Naruto the place he'd least like to visit, without hesitation, he'd say the basement. With a grimace, he delivered another forceful kick to the stubborn basement door. "Open up, you damn door," he grunted, frustration building. Another kick. "Bastard landlord," he muttered under his breath, "can't install a decent door at the front, but sure, let's make Fort Knox out of the basement door." His comment was accompanied by yet another hefty kick. Finally, with a creak that seemed to groan in defeat, the door swung open, revealing the dismal sight of his basement. The room was dimly lit, with only a few slivers of light sneaking through the small, grimy windows. Cobwebs clung to every corner, and a musty, almost moldy smell wafted up, assaulting Naruto's nose. What a dump. The floor felt sticky under his feet, and he could swear something skittered away into the shadows as he moved forward. Great. Probably more rats than a sewer down here. He looked around, half expecting to see something jump out at him. "Would you like to use item, dungeon key?" Closing square bracket. Naruto confirmed, and suddenly an ethereal keyhole materialized in front of him. He took out the dungeon key and inserted it into the keyhole. As Naruto turned the key, he heard the familiar click of a lock opening. Suddenly, the keyhole before him began to crack like a mirror. He watched in awe as the cracks spread, weaving through the air and creating a door that floated in the middle of the room, unattached to any wall or hinge. Awesome. He looked at the system window. "How did you do that, dungeon?" he said aloud, half expecting an answer. The system remained silent. "I need to prepare some things before I go in there." 30 minutes later, Naruto stood in front of the mirror, surveying his makeshift armor with a critical eye. He had assembled an eclectic array of items he thought might be useful: stink bombs, a rubber chicken, kunai, shuriken, and his DIY armor. The armor was a haphazard creation of wood and plastic pieces, all held together with copious amounts of duct tape wrapped around his body. "Well, it's not exactly ninja gear, but it'll have to do." He gave himself a final once-over in the mirror. "All right, let's do this." As Naruto opened the dungeon door and stepped inside, a notification from the system immediately popped up. "Dungeon entry detected. Welcome to the Rat Dungeon. Objective: clear the dungeon by eliminating the mischief of rats." Closing square bracket. "Warning: be cautious of hidden traps and unpredictable enemies." Closing square bracket. "Rewards: successful completion will grant 100 experience points." Closing square bracket. "Failure: any exit before completion will result in loss of reputation with landlord." Closing square bracket. "Dungeon difficulty: beginner. Warning: level 2 or above is recommended for optimal survival. Proceed with caution." Closing square bracket. Naruto cautiously made his way through the dungeon, his eyes scanning the surroundings illuminated by the glow of unusual rocks. As he observed them closely, his observer feat triggered. Item: rat ore. Type: magic. Description: an ore made from the feces of rats of the dungeon. Naruto wrinkled his nose in disgust. "Aw man, why did it have to be poop?" Just then, he heard a sound. Reacting swiftly, Naruto used the transformation jutsu. As he completed the necessary hand signs, his chakra formed a flowing layer directly on his skin. This chakra was special. It was manipulated to reflect light in a specific way. It bent and reflected the light around him, crafting the illusion that he had transformed into one of the glowing rocks scattered around the cave. Though he remained in his original form, to any onlooker, Naruto had seamlessly become indistinguishable from the rocks. A giant rat, by normal standards, entered the area. It looked around, unaware of Naruto's presence. Naruto observed it closely. Name: Chakra Rat. Status: relaxed. Title: Dungeon Monster. Level: 1. Class: None. Race: Rattus anthropomorphus. HP: 30/30ths. AC: 1. CP: 100/100ths. Lineage traits: long tail, sharp tooth. Class features: NA. Feats: NA. Stats: STR: 8. Dex: 8. Con. 8. Int. 8. Wis. 8. Cha. 8. Vit. 8. Luck. 8. Allies. Mischief of the rat colony. Equipment. N.A. Description. A low-level dungeon monster that roams the outside of the dungeon. Surprised by the rat's appearance, Naruto prepared to attack. He quietly pulled out a shuriken. The shuriken spun through the air and struck the rat in the eyes. The rat screamed in pain but couldn't locate its attacker. Seizing the opportunity, Naruto used Kunai Bukijutsu and swiftly slit the rat's throat. Congratulations! You have defeated one dungeon monster, Chakra Rat. Achievement unlocked. First dungeon conquest. Reward. 200 experience points. Kunai Bukijutsu, level 2 active. Chakra points CP required, 7. Description. A weapons technique for kunai, enhancing both melee and ranged combat proficiency. Closing square bracket. Passive enhancements. Kunai accuracy, increased by 15%. Kunai parry, enhanced by 15%. Active boost. Strength STR increase, additional 15% for 20 seconds upon activation. Closing square bracket. Shuriken Bukijutsu, level 2 passive active. Chakra points CP required, 7. Description. An improved weapons technique for shuriken, further honing ranged combat skills. Closing square bracket. Passive enhancements. Shuriken accuracy, increased by 25%. Active boost. Ranged damage, additional 10% increase for 20 seconds upon activation. Closing square bracket. Surprised by the sudden improvement in his skills, Naruto realized that using his skills to defeat the dungeon monster must have contributed to their leveling up. Is there another way to level up skills? His thoughts were abruptly interrupted by the sound of footsteps. Naruto found himself face to face with something he hadn't expected, a humanoid rat wielding a spear. Name: Rat Spearman. Status: Furious. Title: Dungeon Monster. Level: 3. Class: Knight. Race: Rattus anthropomorphus. HP: 50/50ths. AC: 3. CP: 120/120ths. Lineage traits: Long tail, sharp tooth. Class features: Spearmanship. Feats: NA. Stats: STR: 10. Dex: 13. Con: 8. Int: 8. Wis: 8. Cha: 8. VIT: 8. Luck: 8. Allies: Mischief of the rat colony. Equipment: Garbage spear. Description: a guard that roams the outside of the dungeon. Closing square bracket. Naruto clicked his tongue in annoyance and quickly threw a kunai at the rat spearman. However, the monster skillfully deflected it with its spear. As the rat spearman lunged forward with its spear poised to strike, Naruto used the substitution technique. He felt a surge of chakra explode from his ankles, propelling him forward at an astonishing speed. For a fleeting second, he moved so fast that he left behind nothing but a cloud of smoke and a decoy, a log he had prepared earlier with a storage seal. In the midst of the smoke, where Naruto had just stood, the dungeon monster's spear thudded into the log, momentarily deceived by the substitution. From his new position, Naruto quickly regained his footing, barely pausing as he pulled out a kunai. This wasn't just any kunai, it was wrapped with an explosive seal. With a swift motion, Naruto aimed and hurled the kunai back toward the rat spearman. As the kunai struck, the explosive seal attached to it detonated with a deafening blast. The explosion engulfed the dungeon monster in a burst of fire and smoke, sending it reeling backward. The rat spearman screamed in agony, temporarily blinded and severely disoriented by the sudden and violent explosion. Its movements became erratic as it tried to regain its senses. Now's my chance. Using Kunai Bukijutsu, he hit both of the monster's eyes. The rat spearman thrashed about in pain, now an easy target. Naruto continued his long-range assault, running around the monster and striking it repeatedly. A few minutes later, a sweaty and exhausted Naruto stood over the defeated rat spearman. I did it. It took everything I had, but I did it. Congratulations. You have defeated one dungeon monster, Rat Spearman. 40 Express has been earned. Player Naruto's Express has reached 100. Congratulations. You have leveled up. You have been awarded 2 stat points for leveling up. Class feature, Fuinjutsu. Level 2. Description: The art of sealing, originally crafted by the son of the Sage of Six Paths and subsequently mastered by the Uzumaki clan. Fuinjutsu is so closely associated with the Uzumaki that it is often mentioned in the same breath as the clan itself. Closing square bracket. Passive enhancements. Seal efficiency. Reduces chakra cost for creating and applying seals by 10%. Closing square bracket. Active boosts. Adaptive sealing. Seals dynamically adjust their containment strength based on the nature of what they are sealing, increasing efficiency by 10%. Closing square bracket. Fuinjutsu Scroll Library. A Fuinjutsu seals are recorded here. Closing square bracket. 1. Explosive seal. 2. Storage seal. Either level up or interact with more seals to increase library. Naruto's smile of triumph was short-lived as he suddenly heard more monsters approaching. The sound of their steps was getting louder. Panic started to set in as Naruto tried to think of a plan. He knew he couldn't fight multiple monsters at the same time. As Naruto quickly assessed his situation, he glanced at his stats. Okay, think, Naruto, think. Agility is key here, I need to be faster, dodge quicker. And my brain could use some boosting too, gotta be smarter about this. And awareness, yeah, that's important. Can't let these monsters catch me off guard. Naruto realized he had 6 stat points available for allocation. He quickly decided to distribute them. Stats. STR, 12. Dex, 12 right pointing arrow 14. Con, 10. Int, 11 right pointing arrow 13. Wis, 10 right pointing arrow 12. Cha, 9. VIT, 11. Luck. Closing square bracket. As Naruto allocated the stat points, he immediately felt a tangible change. His mind became clearer than ever, thoughts flowing more smoothly and rapidly. His body felt lighter and more agile, as if he could react to anything in a split second. Ideas for tactics and strategies began to pop into his head, a new level of creativity and insight that he hadn't experienced before. Is this because of the stat increase? He paused, a question forming in his mind. Wait, why didn't I get this kind of feeling at level 1? Maybe the system only grants noticeable physical and mental changes after a certain level. It could be that the initial stats were baseline, and only additional points create perceivable effects. Or perhaps it's like muscle training, you don't feel stronger immediately after the first workout, but over time, the improvements become obvious. With the echoing footsteps of the monsters getting closer, Naruto took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He focused, visualizing the incoming threats as blips of energy in his mind's eye. Each movement, each shift in their approach became crystal clear, allowing him to anticipate their next moves. Quickly, he reached into his pouch and pulled out an empty scroll. With a deft movement, he took a kunai and pricked his thumb, squeezing just enough to get a drop of blood. You monsters are going to see why I am the greatest prankster in Konoha. A dozen rat spearmen, under the command of their rat king, hastened towards the source of the disturbance, their ranks visibly divided by the condition of their weapons. Those leading the charge brandished the shiniest, most meticulously maintained spears, while those following held spears that were noticeably duller and less cared for. As the group neared a particular room, they noticed one of their own gesturing towards a scatter of scrolls on the ground. With cautious steps, they approached, eyes scanning for any sign of the enemy. Suddenly, the quiet was shattered by the sound of something hitting the floor. They spun around to see a grinning rat spearman, but as a dust smoke bomb erupted, his form dissolved into the smoke, revealing Naruto, who taunted, "Word of advice, don't combine smoke and explosions, Datbeo." Before they could react, Naruto sprinted away, leaving a few quicker spearmen snapping at his heels. But they were too late. Fuin release. Naruto shouted, and there was an explosive boom. The explosion, magnified by the smoke, was catastrophic. The smoke particles increased the rate of combustion, making the explosion much more intense. The dense smoke acted like a fuel, causing a rapid, violent expansion of gases that instantaneously vaporized the rat spearmen closest to the blast. Those slightly farther away were slammed with such force into the hall walls that their bodies were reduced to paste upon impact. Naruto gazed at the aftermath of his explosive strategy. The walls were blackened and scarred, fragments of the destroyed door were scattered everywhere, and a heavy, acrid smell of smoke hung in the air. As he stood in the hallway, Slightly away from the epicenter, Naruto could see the floor littered with debris and the plaster from the ceiling dusted down like a light snowfall. Next time, pick a better strategy because that was too close, Naruto thought, wiping the sweat from his brow. From the smoky haze of the damaged room, a single spearman emerged, or rather, stumbled out. Calling it a walk was a stretch, it was more like a faltering fall down the hall. The creature didn't move with any purpose, but it wasn't dead either. Its form was eerily still, its body completely charred, a blackened silhouette against the lesser damaged hallway. Deciding to put it out of its misery, Naruto carefully aimed a kunai. With a swift, practiced motion, he threw it, watching as it spun through the air and embedded itself into the monster's throat. The spearman's body jerked once with the impact, then slumped down in a heap, finally still. Congratulations! You have defeated Dungeon Monster times 12. 120 Express has been earned. Naruto glanced at the notification, but quickly shifted his attention back to the fallen monster. He watched as the rat spearman's body shimmered and turned to dust, then disappeared. He had noticed this with most of the monsters he had defeated. It created a strange disconnect for him, blurring the lines between reality and the game-like system. These things, they can hurt me, make me feel real pain, Naruto thought, his gaze fixed on the spot where the rat spearman had vanished. But when they die and turn to dust, it's like they were never real. Like toys or something. He sighed deeply, trying to make sense of the surreal experience. As Naruto thought about his situation, he realized that each skill had its own leveling system, independent of the overall experience points he gained from defeating monsters. The levels of individual skills, such as Shuriken Bukijutsu, depended on their usage, practice, and experience in battle. In other words, a skill would only level up if he consistently used it. He also noted that continuous actions decreased the express gain. For instance, if he defeated a monster and received a high amount of express the first time, the express gain would be halved if he faced the same level monster again. This system prevented him from grinding endlessly against the same opponents. He needed to face new challenges to grow stronger. Inventory. Weapons. Makeshift spears times 2. Description. Improvised spears, effective for basic combat needs. Closing square bracket. Durability. 70/100. Stat effects. STR, +2 when equipped. Dex, +1 when equipped. Armor. Rat Warrior's armor. Description. Armor crafted from the remains of a formidable rat warrior. Offers decent protection. Closing square bracket. Durability. 120/150. Stat effects. HP, +50 when equipped. VIT, +2 when equipped. Items. Rat Gold Tooth. Description. A rare tooth, possibly valuable to certain collectors or useful in specific crafting. Closing square bracket. Durability. NA. Refined ore. Description. High-quality ore, essential for crafting superior weapons or armor. Closing square bracket. Durability. NA. Naruto quickly decided to equip the new items he found in the dungeon. Most of his current equipment was either gone or destroyed, and some items, like the stink bombs, hadn't proved to be as useful as he'd hoped. With the new gear equipped, his stats received a noticeable boost. HP, 300, 300 and 350 350ths +50 from Rat Warrior's armor. Stats. STR, 12 right-pointing arrow 14 +2 from makeshift spears. Dex, 14 right-pointing arrow 15 +1 from makeshift spears. Feeling slightly more fortified with the new gear, Naruto used Mind's Eye to scan the dungeon. To his realization, he had cleared out most of the dungeon, except for one area, the boss room. Naruto took a deep breath, steeling himself for the final challenge. Looks like it's just the boss room left. Time to finish this. Naruto stood in front of the boss room, confronting a door that resembled a cage, as if designed to keep something monstrous contained within. He inhaled deeply, gathering his courage before pushing the door open. As he stepped inside, he found himself in a room where the floor was entirely covered in skulls, creating an eerie and foreboding atmosphere. His eyes then fell on the boss, who was just beginning to rise. The creature was a foot taller than Naruto, with 3 rat heads and a giant, corpulent body. It was an intimidating sight. Name: Rat King. Status: Calm. Title: Dungeon Monster. Level: 5. Class, Barbarian. Race, Rattus anthropomorphus. HP, 500 500ths. AC, 15. CP, 100 100ths. Lineage traits. 3 heads. Prehensile tail. Class features. Rageful attack. Damage to power. Feats. NA. Stats. STR, 20. Dex, 15. Con, 8. Int, 8. Wis, 10. Chaw, 6. VIT, 8. Luck, 8. Allies. Mischief of the rat colony. Description. Born a freak with 3 heads, hated and shunned by everyone, but this rat made itself the king of the dungeon. It ruled with power, favored the weak, and hated the talented. Closing square bracket. Naruto exhaled slowly, his mind racing to strategize. Yeah, this is going to be hard. Naruto cautiously began the battle by throwing a shuriken at one of the Rat King's heads, testing its defenses. To his surprise, the head snapped at the shuriken, effortlessly crushing it between its teeth. Noted, "Don't let that thing near me." The Rat King let out a deafening scream and lunged at Naruto. In response, Naruto grabbed a spear, but the Rat King was quicker. With a swift tail swipe, the Rat King shattered the spear and sent Naruto flying backward. HP, 250 350ths plus 50 from Rat Warrior's armor, right pointing arrow, HP decreased, 200 300ths. Weapons have been removed. Temporary stat buffs removed. Closing square bracket. Stats. STR, 14 plus 2 from makeshift spears, right pointing arrow, STR, 12 temporary buffs removed. Dex, 15 plus 1 from makeshift spears, right pointing arrow, Dex, 14 temporary buffs removed. Naruto barely had time to recover as he narrowly dodged a triple bite from the Rat King. He quickly used the substitution jutsu to escape, and seizing the moment, he threw a stink bomb into the room, filling it with a vile stench. While the Rat King was distracted, Naruto transformed himself into a rock to hide. As the Rat King roared in confusion, Naruto prepared his next move. Before facing the Rat King, Naruto had spent considerable time preparing, just like how he prepared for his pranks. Naruto threw a kunai with an explosive seal on the ground and formed a tiger seal with his hands. Fuin. When activated, the explosion emitted a loud sound, drawing the Rat King's attention. Seizing the opportunity, Naruto threw a shuriken, which struck and removed one of the Rat King's eyes. Enraged, the Rat King turned its attention towards the source of the attack. Naruto charged toward the fearsome boss monster, timing his approach to coincide with its fierce triple attack. Just as the Rat King lunged forward, Naruto cleverly executed his substitution jutsu, swapping his position with a log heavily rigged with explosive seals. Boom! The area erupted in a loud explosion. One of the Rat King's 3 heads was obliterated, turned into nothing but a grisly mush. The monster let out a horrendous scream, its body wreathed in a reddish aura of pain and rage. Seizing the moment, Naruto quickly utilized his kunai and shuriken bukijutsu, aimed and launched both weapons at the monster's Achilles tendon. The moment the kunai and shuriken made contact, another explosive seal followed. Boom! The explosions were deafening in the confines of the dungeon. The force of the blast severely damaged the Rat King's tendon, rendering the beast incapable of movement. It stumbled and roared in frustration, now trapped and vulnerable, its remaining heads thrashing wildly as it tried to regain its footing. Naruto remained calm and focused, using the monster as target practice. HP, 200 500ths. HP, 50 500ths. HP, 0 500ths. Finally, the Rat King collapsed to the ground, defeated. Congratulations! You have defeated the dungeon boss, Rat King. 100 Express has been earned. Congratulations! You have successfully cleared the rat dungeon. Closing square bracket. Rewards granted. 100 experience points. Author's note. As explained in this chapter, the mechanism for the transformation jutsu is a simple reflection and refraction of light, not shapeshifting. I know there is a trope in Naruto fanfics where Naruto can shapeshift, but I refrained from going that route for one simple reason: shapeshifting is too overpowered. For example, if Naruto is facing off against an enemy Jonin, why doesn't he just jump into the sky and shapeshift into a whale to kill the enemy? It's too powerful, especially considering Naruto's ability to create 1000 clones. Now, imagine 1000 whales dropping from the sky. Exactly. Second, the substitution jutsu isn't a space-time jutsu. I have read fanfics where it is, and to that, I say why. If substitution jutsu is a space-time jutsu, why even bother learning anything else? In this fanfic, substitution is just a high-speed movement and dodging technique. When Naruto uses substitution, he prepares a log inside storage scrolls. He activates the jutsu by channeling chakra into his ankles as he moves, leaving behind a puff of smoke. The log is released from the storage seal, substituting the place of the user, while the user moves to a safe location. This jutsu works for about 10 feet and has a flaw: tunnel vision. If the user looks at a certain location to move, an enemy notices it and then just attacks where the user is supposed to appear. It's useful, but not overpowered. 5 years before present day. If you're a Hyuga, then show us your Byakugan. Her eyes stung. She clasped her hands close, eyes darting about. Aye. She gulped once, and her lips trembled. Her father's voice boomed in her head. You are the heir to the main clan, Hinata. It's high time that you carry yourself as such. Kindness will get you nowhere in this world. But fainter, barely a whisper, her mother's words came to mind. There's enough bloodshed and cruelty in this world, Hinata. Be that smidge of missing kindness, make friends, talk things out, and maybe things will become better. Hinata remembered the hope she felt that day. Looking into the eyes of her assembled classmates, she saw none of what her mother had spoken of. Her stomach clenched, edging closer to her ribcage. Aye. But if you're not, don't look at us. Nobu stomped to the front of the pack with a mocking grin. Your eyes are really freaky, huh, Byakugan monster. Hinata gasped, but it came out as a whimper. The bully blinked and then snickered. She squeezed her eyes shut, heat exploding across their lids. Her heart hammered in her chest. Never in her life had she expected to hear her clan's prized ability be insulted, and insulted because of her. She wished she were anywhere but here, in the middle of the playground, surrounded by their loud, cruel laughter. Her father's lessons were at the forefront of her mind. Always there, so cold and stern. But Hinata could not adhere to them. No, she never could. Never enough, always falling short of his expectations, their expectations. Her throat trembled with the weight of her fear, 1,000 unspoken words strangled. She opened her eyes to a blurred world, surrounded by her classmates, people she thought she could become friends with. It was why all of this had begun. Foolishly, she had hoped that maybe, she could have fun here. Hinata might not have been very social during the first term, but this was her chance. The invitation to come and play at least allowed some escape from her father's demanding gaze. Unfortunately, it proved to be the same. Maybe worse, because no one there, save for Neji, had spoken to her like this before. The circle inched closer, looming over her. Hinata's head swiveled around. Everywhere she looked, she saw unbridled glee at her suffering. In one step, the bully was in front of her, breaching the gap between her and them. His hot breath washed over her face and she stumbled. She looked up, paralyzed. His form blotted out the sky, casting an intimidating darkness over everything. Looky here, everyone. The Byakugan monster's crying. Hinata closed her eyes. No one would come to help her, and she could not help herself. Their laughter washed over her. Her eyes burned. A fresh wave of hot tears seeped out, trailing burning paths down the sides of her face. Her father was right. She would never be enough. Not for him, not for them, or herself. Enough. The laughter stopped. Everyone turned toward the voice that suddenly rang out. Through her tears, Hinata first saw a blur of orange. As her vision cleared, the details emerged: spiky blonde hair and an orange and blue jacket with white fur trim around the collar. Beneath that, a black shirt peeked out, and his outfit was completed with dark blue shorts and blue ninja sandals. It was him, the loud boy from class who had been punished on the first day. What was he doing here? Helping her. But why? Nobu clenched his fists. Leave now, you orange clown. That's it, no one insults orange. Naruto screamed, charging toward them. Hinata closed her eyes, knowing this wouldn't end well. She could hear the conflict, the sounds of fists meeting flesh. Peeking through her lashes, she saw Naruto outnumbered, getting beaten by the 3 kids. Yet, he fought back relentlessly. For every 3 kicks he received, he managed to deliver one in return. Dirt clung to his clothes as he was scuffed and scraped in the scuffle, but he didn't give up. Why was he fighting so hard? Hinata's mind was a battleground of conflicting teachings. Her father's cynical words about the absence of kindness in the world clashed violently with her mother's gentle urging to talk things out and make friends. Amid the chaos of these memories, the real world around her echoed with the harsh sounds of conflict, fists striking flesh, grunts of effort, and the harsh laughter of bullies. Yet through the violence, Hinata's eyes locked onto the bright blue eyes of Naruto, a boy who was fighting against the odds. He wasn't just fighting, he was defending someone else, standing up for her when he had nothing to gain. This wasn't the selfish violence her mother despised, it was a selfless act of bravery. I want to be like that, she thought. To have the will to keep fighting, not just for myself, but for others. Stand up and fight. With trembling legs, she tried to rise, her heart pounding so loudly it filled her ears and drowned out the noise of the playground. Today, she decided, she would be brave like the boy before her. Hinata activated her Byakugan. Her veins bulged near her temples, as she adopted the stance of the gentle fist. Every muscle and fiber in her body aligned with her intent as she lunged toward Nobu, the lead bully. But her feet slipped, sending her crashing into the cold snow. The fall was hard, the chill of the snow seeping through her clothes, mixing with the dirt to stain her outfit. Her frustration mounted as she lay there, feeling helpless and humiliated. The bullies laughed mercilessly at the sight. Two freaks in a pod, they jeered as they walked away, their laughter echoing behind them. Hinata stared at the ground, overwhelmed by the mocking laughter still echoing in her ears. Her attempted bravery, her stand, it all seemed foolish now. Why did she even bother? Thank you. The voice broke through her reverie, pulling her gaze upward. Naruto stood before her, bruised and battered, a fresh cut above his eye threatening to bleed, yet his smile was warm and genuine. Why? The word slipped out before Hinata could stop it. Why what? Why thank me? Because you thanked someone for helping you. Hinata felt her heart race, the simplicity of his gratitude was unexpected. Thank you, she managed to say, her stutter more pronounced under the weight of her emotions. Naruto waved off her thanks casually. It's the duty of the Hokage to save anyone in trouble. Hokage. Nice to meet you, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, the future Hokage of Konoha. His confidence was palpable, radiating a surety that Hinata found both enviable and inspiring. Before she could introduce herself, a hand clasped her shoulder. Lady Hinata, let's go. Her guard was insistent, his grip firm as he began to pull her away while sending a sharp glare at Naruto. Naruto, unfazed by the guard's hostility, simply waved at her. Watching him, Hinata felt something stir within her, a desire to possess that same resilience and disregard for others' scorn. As they moved away, Hinata felt a sharp sting on her knee, a reminder of her fall. The cold winter air aggravated the scrape, making it painfully evident. She glanced back at Naruto, noticing his cut again and thinking about the pain he was ignoring. That will hurt. Suddenly remembering the unique sensitivity of her clan's eyes to bright light, particularly in winter when sunlight reflected off snow, she impulsively removed her green goggles. The Hyuga were advised to wear goggles in such conditions to protect their sensitive eyes. She tossed the goggles to a surprised Naruto, motioning for him to wear them. As her guards started to protest, Hinata summoned every bit of her courage. If you say anything, I'll let my father know that because of you I got hurt, she declared firmly, pointing to her scraped knee. The guard blanched, his authority wavering. Yes, Lady Hinata. Over the next few years, Hinata tried to gather the courage to speak to Naruto, but she never managed to do it. Sometimes she joked to herself that she had used up all her bravery that day when she threatened her guard. Despite her fears, Hinata still yearned to be Naruto's friend, but every time an opportunity arose, her insecurities would overwhelm her. Then, one day, she noticed Naruto had left his kunai and shuriken bukijutsu scrolls in the classroom, and he hadn't been there for the entire class just before lunch. Seizing what she saw as a golden opportunity, Hinata grabbed the scrolls with the intent of returning them to him. This was her chance to make the first move toward friendship. She started by checking all his usual hangouts, but Naruto was nowhere to be found. Hinata even activated her Byakugan, scanning the area far and wide for any sign of him. To her surprise, she located him in the library, a place she'd never known him to visit. Naruto in the library. It didn't make sense. Nonetheless, she shrugged off her confusion and ran toward the library, scrolls in hand. Today, she decided, she would finally step beyond her fears. Present day. Hyuga clan. Traditional wooden structures with gently curved roofs surrounded the area, their dark wood contrasting with the lighter colored paper sliding doors. Stone paths weaved through meticulously maintained gardens, leading to various parts of the compound. On the training grounds, under the watchful eye of her master, Hinata was practicing the gentle fist. She moved with more vigor than usual. Hinata cast a quick glance at Hikari, one of her trainers. Although her father was her primary instructor, his duties as the clan head often kept him too occupied to train her consistently. As a result, retired ninjas like Hikari stepped in to fill the role of her other master. Is something wrong, Lady Hinata? Hinata hesitated, then asked, Master Hikari, do you know anything about Uzushiogakure? Hikari's expression changed, a hint of surprise in his eyes. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Can you tell me more about it? Hikari shrugged, his voice casual as he spoke. Hinata had finished her sets, and the information wasn't some closely guarded state secret. Uzushiogakure was once one of the great ninja villages. It was our sister village. The alliance between Konoha and Uzushiogakure allowed Konoha to expand its borders diplomatically. Sadly, Uzushiogakure was destroyed, leading to the Third Great Ninja War. Hinata's eyes widened in shock. Why don't we learn this in school if Uzushiogakure played such a significant role in our history? Anger. We don't teach the next generation because it brings anger to our elders. Uzushiogakure is a black dot in Konoha's history. Many blame Uzushiogakure for their losses during the war, the loss of their children, their families. People just want to blame and forget. I was a genin when the Third War broke out. I lost many friends. Like others, I wanted to blame my anger on something, but blaming a destroyed village that once was our ally isn't right. Hinata nodded, absorbing his words with a sad expression. What does Uzushiogakure have to do with the Uzumaki clan? Hikari narrowed his eyes, sensing something more behind her question. Why are you asking about this, Hinata? Startled by his intense gaze, Hinata stammered, I'll get back to training, quickly returning to her practice. Hikari scratched his head, wondering why Hinata was suddenly so interested in a long-forgotten village and clan. Uruka walked into the great Konoha library, his status as a chunin granting him easy access. The library was a vast, impressive building, its high ceilings supported by grand columns. Rows upon rows of bookshelves stretched as far as the eye could see, filled with an endless collection of books. Sunlight streamed through large windows, illuminating the quiet, scholarly atmosphere. Approaching the front desk, Uruka spotted a familiar face among the stacks of books. Shiho, is that you? Shiho looked up, a smile spreading across her face. Oh, Uruka-sensei, long time no see. What brings you here? I just wanted to grab some books. How have you been? Not much, just studying, Shiho replied, adjusting the stack of books beside her. Oh, is this a hobby of yours? Part-time job, actually. I'm trying to get into the Konoha cryptanalysis team, she explained. Well, I'm ashamed I can't help my star student. Come on, sensei, don't flatter me. I was just good in academics, Shiho said modestly. Do you need help finding a specific book? Yeah, is there anything about Uzushiogakure? Shiho paused, quickly browsing through the library's registry. Section Z, row 7, column 9. There's only one book about Uzushiogakure. Thank you, Uruka said, heading off in the direction she indicated. Shiho watched him go, her gaze returning to the registry. The location of the book about Uzushiogakure seemed peculiar. It was in the last section of the library, a rarely visited area with old, outdated books that were never maintained because they were simply kept for archival purposes. It was odd, almost as if someone wanted to make it hard to find. Uruka walked for what felt like an eternity to reach Section Z. The deeper he ventured into the library, the more the environment changed. The air grew musty, filled with the smell of mold and old paper. The lighting was poor in this part of the library, leaving much of it shrouded in darkness. Dust motes danced in the few shafts of light that penetrated the gloom. Piles of neglected books lay scattered about, and cobwebs adorned the corners of the shelves and ceiling. Finally reaching his destination, Uruka cautiously navigated through the piles, trying not to disturb the years of accumulated dust. He located the spot where the book about Uzushiogakure was supposed to be. The book he pulled from the shelf was old and tattered. Its cover was faded, with edges frayed and pages yellowed with age. The spine creaked as he opened it, revealing that many of the pages were barely legible, the ink faded and smudged. One page, however, caught his eye. It had a faint image of a swirling crimson symbol, barely visible. Huh, why is this symbol here? He then remembered the back of his own Chunin vest. It bore the same swirling symbol. Ruruka had always thought that the symbol represented Konoha's unity, different people swirling into one for the protection of the village. But seeing it here, in a book about Uzushiogakure, made him question everything. Could this symbol be related to Uzushiogakure? The thought that this symbol, which he and many others had worn for years without truly understanding its origin, might have a deeper connection to the long-forgotten village of Uzushiogakure was both intriguing and unsettling. Ruruka carefully closed the book. He realized there was much more to learn about the village's history and its connection to Konoha, a history that had been lost or deliberately obscured over time. Naruto woke up to the familiar chime of a system notification. You have slept in your bed. HP and CP are fully restored. His eyes snapped open, and a wide smile spread across his face. The ongoing notifications confirmed that this extraordinary experience wasn't just a dream. Yes, shut up, came the irritated shouts from neighboring apartments. Unfazed, Naruto turned his attention to the changes he had undergone after clearing the dungeon. Substitution Jutsu, Level 2. Transformation Jutsu, Level 3. Kunai Bukijutsu, Level 4. Shuriken Bukijutsu, Level 4. Class Feature, Scroll Arts, Level 2. Class Feature, Fuinjutsu, Level 3. Naruto grinned. In just a day, he had improved more than he ever thought possible. But the thought that his teachers might have been deliberately sabotaging him weighed heavily on his mind. He knew Fujino was struggling with her own issues, but the idea that everyone else might be involved too seemed off, like there was a bigger piece of the puzzle missing. Should I ask Gigi to help? The third Hokage, his beloved Gigi, was often too swamped to make daily visits. His visits were sporadic, sometimes weekly, sometimes only once a month. Naruto cherished those moments at the Sarutobi clan house or when Gigi stopped by his place. But could he really burden him with this? It's Gramps' job to help, right? He pondered as he went about preparing his breakfast. Naruto decided on his favorite combo, cup ramen and cereal. Not everyone's choice, sure, but he loved it. Alert! World Quest. Quest title: Don't be late. Objective: arrive at the academy on time. Time limit: 10 minutes. Closing square bracket. Rewards: 10 experience points. Enhanced reputation with class. Closing square bracket. Penalty for failure. Closing square bracket. Action required: acceptance or declination of quest. It's a reusable quest. Quest: Don't be late. Status: successfully completed. Rewards granted: 10 experience points, plus 5 reputation with classroom. Closing square bracket. Naruto burst into the classroom just as the timer of the quest rang, his entrance perfectly timed. He quickly glanced at the system, hoping to see some sort of achievement notification for his last-second arrival. But all he was met with was silence. Damn it, give me an achievement. This outburst startled some of his classmates, who looked at him with wide eyes and confusion. Whispers quickly spread through the room. Did Naruto finally lose it? He just burst in and started talking to himself, another whispered, eyeing Naruto warily. I heard he's been acting weird lately. Maybe he's cracked under the pressure, a third student speculated in a hushed tone. Realizing how odd his behavior must have seemed, Naruto felt a wave of embarrassment wash over him. Despite this, he couldn't help but grin as he soaked in the attention from his classmates. Even though they looked at him like he was a bit of a fool, he didn't mind. To him, attention was attention, and that was all that mattered. Spotting a free seat next to Hinata, he plopped down beside her with his usual exuberance. Ignoring the shocked expression on Hinata's face, which looked like she was about to melt from embarrassment, Naruto just flashed her one of his broad, confident smiles. Hello, Hinata. He knew his new friend wasn't the most comfortable person, so there was no need to overwhelm her with his loudness. He can be calm when he needs to be. Hinata spoke softly, disbelief coloring her tone. You're early 2 days in a row. Naruto's sweat dropped, scratching his head as he grumbled back, is it really that much of a surprise? Hinata nodded, about to say something more, but she was interrupted as Iruka-sensei entered the room. Quiet. Iruka used his big head jutsu, instantly silencing the class. Good, now I'll take attendance. When he reached Naruto's, he paused and looked up, surprised to see Naruto actually in his seat. Am I drunk? He said out loud, causing snickers to spread through the class. Naruto's face turned red as he retorted, I can come on time, sensei. Naruto, the last time you were on time was 3 years ago. What about yesterday? You missed the pledge of fire yesterday. The what now? Naruto asked, his confusion prompting a series of facepalms around the classroom. Iruka sighed deeply. The pledge of fire is the vow of loyalty to Konoha. It's where you repeat the will of fire that has been passed down since the first Hokage. Sakura chimed in, turning to Sasuke, expecting some reaction but finding none. Naruto shrugged nonchalantly. Whatever, I'll do the pledge thing. Anyway, sensei, he continued, puffing out his chest a bit, I finally got that saying, the early bird gets the apple. Worm, Naruto, worm, Iruka corrected him, then continued with the attendance. Meanwhile, Naruto leaned over to Hinata. What were you saying earlier? I found some information about Uzushiogakure. What? He exclaimed loudly, unable to contain his surprise, which drew a stern look from Iruka. Naruto, I know you're early, but please don't start in the morning. Sorry, sensei, Naruto whispered back, then turned his attention to Hinata. Tell me everything. Hinata quickly shared what she had found about Uzushiogakure, its role in Konoha's history, the attitude of people towards it, and the fact that it had been destroyed. As Hinata relayed the information, Naruto struggled to process it. He had just discovered he had a family, and now he was learning that it had been destroyed. He pondered how he ended up with blonde hair, perhaps one of his parents had escaped from Uzushiogakure and married someone in Konoha. Naruto clenched his fists under the desk, a wave of anger washing over him. Is this why people glare at me? Fear me. Because I'm an outsider, because my clan's village led to the Third Great Ninja War. As Iruka called the class to stand for the pledge, Naruto rose mechanically, his mind buzzing with the realization that perhaps his teachers were targeting him for reasons beyond his control. He stood there, trying to wrap his head around the idea that those he should be able to trust were using such justifications to harm his future. As the class recited in unison, I pledge fidelity to the will of fire of the Hidden Leaf Village, and to the unity for which it stands, one community, indivisible, with love and protection for all its people. Naruto couldn't help but snort at the mention of love. Love, yeah right, where is my love? His brooding was interrupted when he felt a gentle nudge from Hinata, who offered him a small, encouraging smile. That simple gesture significantly lightened Naruto's heavy heart. Glancing around the room, at the system, at Hinata, at Iruka, and thinking about Kyuki, Ayame, his Jiji, and the Sarutobi clan, he realized something profound. I have my own love. So what if the rest of them don't show me any love? I'm done caring about their approval. I've got the system, and I've got folks who care about me. I'm going to be strong enough to protect those who gave me love, and I'll show the world, the Uzumakis aren't to be forgotten. Author note, a few changes from the original series. In the original series, or should I say in the Naruto, the last movie. Context. In the movie Hinata was more scared and didn't do anything about the bullies. Naruto was, for some reason, able to do a mini shadow clone jutsu, I don't know what that was. The main focus of the movie was on that red scarf, which was never pivotal or brought up by any character in the original series, Shippuden, or any of the other movies. Hinata developed a crush on Naruto because he saved her. Anyway, my changes are. 1. Hinata actually stood up. Hinata's insecurities and her admiration for Naruto's bravery, in my opinion, have more depth this way because Naruto was able to inspire Hinata to stand up for herself. 2. Hinata gave Naruto his green goggles. Those goggles were a big part of Naruto's design in the first few chapters. I think they add more to their relationship because Naruto continued to wear them throughout the years, not some random scarf that was never a thing. Also, those green goggles add more to the world building by introducing how young dojutsu users take precautions during childhood against things like sunlight reflecting off snow. 3. Hinata didn't go into love mode just because Naruto saved her. It's more along the lines of a crush made out of admiration. I know there is the whole stalking thing. I changed it to where Hinata tried to become friends but didn't muster up the courage for it. For the will of fire, the idealistic ideology of Hashirama Senju, aims for peace and love and all that. We heard it all the time in the anime, but my question was how it is instilled into the younger generation. Anyway, I based the instilling of the idea of the will of fire on a pledge that students recite daily after attendance. I didn't add any critique of the will of fire, which, all things considered, is fairly easy to do since the ideology has created a lot of monsters like Orochimaru, Danzo, etc. It's way too idealistic and has its fair share of flaws, but for the simple reason, it felt out of character for Naruto to suddenly go edgy and say how the will of fire is this and that and blah 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 even if Naruto is technically finding out the enemies around him. I personally didn't want to go through the edgy route for Naruto, rather, I think it was better for Naruto to see the love that the few people give him and use that as motivation to get stronger, with the system being his guide and being part of the Uzumaki clan his identity, rather than the identity of an orphan who wants to prove everyone wrong and be Hokage. Give your thoughts on this development of Naruto's character alongside how the ideology of the will of fire is propagandized into the minds of young children. Love and protection for all, yet ostracize people like Naruto, Sakumo, etc. Naruto's paw. I've never been one to dwell on things. Normally, I just roll with the punches life throws at me and keep pushing forward. But discovering my Uzumaki clan heritage, that threw me for a loop. Suddenly, the dream of becoming Hokage didn't burn as brightly. Growing up as an orphaned outcast, wanting to become Hokage made sense. It was more than a goal, it was a statement. I wanted to prove everyone wrong, to transform from the village reject into its most beloved leader. It was my identity, my drive. Yet, now that I've learned about the Uzumaki clan, it's like I've been caught in a new current. This identity, this history, this legacy, it's something tangible, something that was part of me long before I knew it. It's a badge of honor I wear proudly, unlike the Hokage title, which feels like a distant dream. As these thoughts swirled in my head, pushing the dream of being Hokage to the background, my new goal became clear: to become strong enough to protect those I love and uphold the Uzumaki name. Naruto-kun, I know this is hard to hear, but you are not responsible for the past. Your family's history, it doesn't define who you are, Hinata said, her voice gentle, trying to offer comfort. I turned to look at her, appreciating her kindness but feeling a deep connection to my heritage. The Uzumaki, it's not just about me. It's about all of them, the ones who came before me. I can't change the past, I can't bring them back, but I can make sure they're remembered with honor. I forced a smile, trying to show Hinata I was okay, trying to keep up my usual spirited front. Hinata's voice was soft, barely above a whisper as she said, "It's okay to feel upset, Naruto-kun. It's a big part of your history. But remember, you have friends here, and I care about you for who you are now." I just nodded. I appreciated her words, her support, but deep down, I was wrestling with a whirlwind of emotions. I had every right to be upset about my family's past, about their disappearance from history. But that didn't mean I was going to sit back and cry about it. I was determined to honor their legacy with every fiber of my being, through my actions, my jutsu, and my mark on history. Feeling a surge of resolve, my chest puffed up with pride. This was my new dream, making a mark on history so profound that the Uzumaki name would never be forgotten. "Thanks, Hinata," I said, my voice gaining strength. "But you know what? Being an Uzumaki, honoring them, it's a part of who I am now. And that's not something I want to ignore. It's something I want to shout about, to celebrate. I can't change the past, but I can definitely shape the future. And hey, maybe that future still has a spot for a Hokage who's proudly Uzumaki." Despite my outward confidence, a small, nagging voice in the back of my mind began to surface. Why did no one tell me about this? Why did Gigi hide it from me? Why keep the history of the Uzumaki clan hidden from the newer generation? I remembered Hinata mentioning something about shame, but was that really all there was to it? Was shame and anger truly enough to justify burying such a significant part of Konoha's history? I was so lost in my thoughts that I nearly jumped when Iruka's familiar voice suddenly broke through. "Naruto, please take the book, he said, extending a textbook towards me for the day's lesson. Startled, I blinked a few times, snapping back to the present. I reached out and took the book from him. Notification. Opportunity detected to acquire skill. Uzumaki Clan Taijutsu, Swirling Kata. Closing square bracket. Action required. Confirm acceptance or declination of class skill. Closing square bracket. The moment I saw the words on the system screen, I immediately tapped the acceptance button. Skill unlocked. Uzumaki Clan Taijutsu, Swirling Kata, Level 1. Description. A taijutsu style from the Uzumaki clan, focused on attacks utilizing scroll arts and fuinjutsu rather than physical strength. Closing square bracket. Passive enhancements. Scroll synchronization. Increases efficiency and speed of scroll arts integration in combat by 15%. Closing square bracket. Enhanced agility. Improves dodging capabilities and reflexes by 20%. Closing square bracket. Active boost. Swirling assault. Temporarily enhances attack range and speed by 25% for 30 seconds upon activation. Closing square bracket. Chakra infusion. Increases the power of scroll-based attacks by 20% during the active phase. Closing square bracket. My surprise must have been obvious as I stared down at the book in my hand, titled, Basic Academy Style Taijutsu. It hit me then, through the system's skill table, I had just unlocked the Uzumaki clan's Taijutsu, Swirling Kata. Even though I only had the basic academy techniques in front of me. This revelation made me wonder what I needed to do to truly master these basic techniques. Alert. System Quest. Quest. Learn Basic Academy Taijutsu. Objective. Perform Basic Kata. Perform 200 punches, kicks, and rolls. Reward. Basic Academy Taijutsu. Failure. None. Closing square bracket. Action required. Confirm acceptance or declination of class skill. Closing square bracket. I stared at the notification on the System Quest alert, deep in thought. The question loomed in my mind, did I really want to learn the Basic Academy Taijutsu? I weighed my options carefully. Comparing the two styles was straightforward. Ruruka had often explained the origins of the taijutsu taught at the academy. It was a diluted version of the Senju clan's taijutsu. Designed to be foundational, the academy taijutsu allowed for flexibility, enabling students to integrate additional martial arts techniques as they progressed. Essentially, it was crafted to complement any other fighting style, whether taijutsu, kenjutsu, or another discipline. On the other hand, the Swirling Kata, amusingly, was also a complementary style, but in a different sense. It specifically complemented the class features of scroll arts and fuinjutsu. Predominantly focused on evasion and defense, the Swirling Kata was structured around agile movements and positioning to avoid attacks. The offensive capabilities were not direct but were executed through fuinjutsu and scroll arts. I've always been a brawler, fighting up close, so learning the academy style seemed like the obvious choice. But the excuses started rolling off my tongue almost automatically. I wanted everything about me to be a representation of the Uzumaki clan. After all, in the rat dungeon, I saw the real power of fuinjutsu. I realized then that the Uzumaki clan's taijutsu, which is better for mid to long-range combat, worked well with my scroll arts. It was a stark contrast to the close combat focus of the academy style. My experiences had shown me the advantages of keeping a distance in battle. Plus, I was really keen on unlocking the chakra chains, a crucial part of my clan's heritage. The Swirling Kata seems right for me. Why should I bother learning basic academy taijutsu? It would take a lot of time and effort to master something that might not even be all that beneficial in the long run. Why bother? I'm an Uzumaki. With a decisive click, I declined the quest. It felt crucial to focus on techniques and skills that aligned with my identity as an Uzumaki and my future goals. I need to concentrate on what will make me stronger in the way I naturally fight, I murmured to myself, feeling confident in my choice. Ruruka's announcement brought a buzz of excitement to the classroom. Okay students, after you've revised the basics, let's do some practice spars, he declared, leading the class outside to the training grounds. Naruto sighed. Great, I can't use the offensive part of my Uzumaki style in the spar. I only know two seals, explosive and storage. Storage is useless in a physical spar, and explosive, well, it's too dangerous for my opponents. As the class paired up for sparring, Naruto sighed, wishing the day was already over. He was eager to delve deeper into the system, to explore more of its mysteries and capabilities. The potential of what he could learn and achieve was far more appealing than the sparring session ahead. Guess I'll just have to wing it and hope for the best, Naruto thought as he prepared to step onto the training ground. Name: Uzumaki Naruto. Status: Chakra imbalance. Difficulty in controlling chakra, -100% performance in executing simple jutsus. Title: Academy Student. Level: 2. Class: Shinobi of the Uzumaki Clan. Race: Human. HP: 350/350ths. AC: 11. CP: 10k. Lineage traits: Chakra chains locked. Mind's Eye. Healer's Body locked. Class features: Scrolls Arts. Fuinjutsu. Feats: Observer. Stats: STR: 12. Dex: 14. Con: 10. Int: 13. Wis: 12. Cha: 9. VIT: 11. Luck. Closing square bracket. Stat points remaining: 0. Allies. Equipment: Express. 630. Description: Uzumaki Naruto is the dead last of the Konoha Academy, having failed the graduation twice before and clearly not prepared to graduate. While most of his past is a mystery, Uzumaki Naruto has found his clan. Closing square bracket. Every academy student learns one important saying: the life of a shinobi is held by the tip of the knife that is knowledge. Many people believed Naruto was oblivious to this saying, or too foolish to understand it. If he could, Naruto would gladly retort, "You're all the stupid ones, teams." How could he pull off such masterful pranks without a solid grasp of knowledge? He knew everything about his targets, their habits, the best timing, and all the necessary prep work. Pranking was practically an art form that required serious smarts. Lately, especially after the whole Fujino debacle, Naruto had begun to truly value his system's observer feat. It was like having cheat codes in a video game. He barely had to lift a finger to gather all the crucial intel he needed. I should do a prayer ritual thanking the system with ramen, Naruto mused, then winced at the thought of wasting good ramen. Nah, that's too much. Maybe I'll just drop 10 yen in the next beggar's cup. Satisfied with this plan, he nodded to himself and scanned the classroom, eyeing a few students he knew could give him trouble in the taijutsu spar. As the sparring matches began, nothing particularly special caught Naruto's attention until he observed some of his stronger classmates. Shikamaru gave up against a civilian ninja of level 2, prompting a few chuckles around the training ground while Naruto's eyes observed. Name: Akamichi Choji. Status: Fat, increased HP and con due to robust physique, -2 penalty to dex for reduced agility. Title: Academy Student. Level: 5. Class: Shinobi of the Akamiki Clan. Race: Human. HP: 498/498ths. AC: 10. CP: 250/250ths. Lineage traits: Yang physique. Class features: Controllable analgesia. Feats: NA. Stats: STR: 14. Dex: 8-10 to 2 penalty. Con: 16, 14 plus 2 from enhanced stamina. Int: 10. Wis: 10. Cha: 10. Allies: Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara. Equipment: Weapons: Redacted. Armor: Redacted. Gear: Redacted. Magic items: Redacted. Description: Akamichi Choji, a member of the Akamichi clan, is known for his large frame and appetite, both of which contribute to his powerful shinobi abilities, especially in body manipulation jutsu. Choji is a kind-hearted young man, but he is sensitive about comments related to his weight. Closing square bracket. Note: removal of redactions may occur through leveling up or engaging in combat. Closing square bracket. Naruto raised his eyebrows as he read the description in Choji's profile. So that's why those rumors started, he thought, recalling the whispers that a student ended up in the hospital for calling Choji a fat pig. Despite the severity, nobody really believed the rumors at first. Choji was known as one of the kindest kids around. Still, it quickly became an unspoken rule among the students: making fun of Choji's weight was off limits. Name: Inuzuka Kiba. Status: hot-headedness prone to rash decisions, -1 to wis during high-stress situations. Title: Academy Student. Level 5. Opening square bracket. Class: Shinobi of the Inuzuka Clan. Race: Human. HP: 190/190ths. AC: 12. CP: 250/250ths. Lineage traits: Animalistic senses. Dog affinity. Class features: Animal companion. Feats: None. Stats: STR: 10. Dex: 14. Con: 10. Int: 10. Wis: 7. 8/1 penalty. Cha: 10. Allies: None. Equipment: Weapons: Redacted. Armor: Redacted. Gear: Redacted. Magic items: Redacted. Description: Inuzuka Kiba, a member of the feral Inuzuka clan, is known for their close bond with Ninken and animalistic abilities. Kiba, though average for an Inuzuka, is a competent shinobi with excellent tracking skills and fierce combat abilities. He often acts on impulse, which can affect his judgment in critical situations. Closing square bracket. Note: removal of redactions may occur through leveling up or engaging in combat. Closing square bracket. Naruto quietly whispered to himself, slightly taken aback by this information. Wait, he actually uses the dog in battle. I thought that was just a pet. Naruto watched Kiba and his ninja hound, Akamaru, with a mix of envy and fascination. I should get myself a companion too, he thought. Maybe I could unlock an achievement for a dog, or a bird, or maybe something cooler. His mind raced with possibilities. Growing up, he'd never had any pets. Hiruzen always said it was too much responsibility. Naruto scoffed at the memory. I am responsible, he muttered under his breath. Name: Aburame Shino. Status: emotionally detached, increased focus, +2 to int, reduced social interaction, -2 to cha. Title: Academy Student. Level 6. Class: Shinobi of the Aburame Clan. Race: Apostles of the Tyranids. HP: 500/720ths. AC: 10. CP: 500/500ths. Racial traits: symbiotic relationship. Nest's physique. Class features: insect affinity. Hive mind. Feats: analytic mind. Stats: STR: 10. Dex: 10. Con: 14. Int: 18. 16 +2 from emotionally detached. Wis: 20. Cha: 6. 8/2 from emotionally detached. Allies: None. Equipment: Weapons: Redacted. Armor: Redacted. Gear: Redacted. Magic items: Redacted. Description: Aburame Shino is a member of the acclaimed Aburame clan known for their silent nature and appreciation of the little things. Known to host a colony of Kikaichu within their bodies that make their techniques and abilities not just powerful but also extremely creepy. Shino is the heir to the clan and a very capable shinobi in training. Note: removal of redactions may occur through leveling up or engaging in combat. Closing square bracket. Naruto edged behind Choji, his face twisted in a grimace as he watched Shino gently handling a ladybug. The whole idea of living in symbiosis with insects made his skin crawl. Creepy, he whispered, barely audible. Choji, confused by Naruto's sudden need for a human shield, turned to question him, but Naruto quickly cut him off. I'll buy you a dozen bags of chips if you let me hide here, he bargained hastily. Choji's eyes lit up, and he nodded enthusiastically, settling back to his previous stance, effectively screening Naruto from view. From his hideout, Naruto peeked out just enough to see Shino place the ladybug back among the leaves. Why isn't his race just human? Naruto mumbled to himself, baffled and a bit freaked out. Shino seemed to sense his gaze because he looked up and met Naruto's eyes for a fleeting moment. Naruto instantly ducked, fully hiding behind Choji. Shino held his gaze on them a moment longer before turning his attention back to his insects. Naruto sighed in relief, whispering a silent thanks to Choji for the cover. Seeing that the coast was clear, Naruto turned his attention to his rival. Sasuke Uchiha was there, seemingly oblivious to the numerous girls vying for his attention all around him. Lucky emo bastard. Naruto's gaze then shifted to Hinata, who caught his eye for a moment before shyly looking down. He felt a sense of relief. At least Hinata is not like the rest of them. Name: Uchiha Sasuke. Status: unawakened Sharingan dormant due to psychological trauma, +2 Dex, +3 Int, +1 Wisp per level. Avenger, +25% to all stats when attacking. Redacted. Firebug, -15% cost to Kaiden Jutsu, +10 damage to Kaiden Jutsu. Paranoia, increased alertness, +2 to Whis, decreased trust, -2 to Cha. Antisocial, reduced social engagement, -3 to Cha, increased self-reliance, +2 to Khan. Title: Academy Student. Level: 8. Class: Shinobi of the Uchiha Clan. Race: Human. HP: 1170 1170ths. AC: 17. CP: 1180 1180ths. Lineage traits: Sharingan, partially locked. Natural affinity, Radiant lightning style. Class features: Natural affinity, Kaiden, fire style. The Golden Heart. Feats: Avenger. Stats: STR, 19. Dex: 16, 14 +2 from unawakened Sharingan. Con: 20, 18 +2 from antisocial. Int: 15, 12 +3 from unawakened Sharingan. Whis: 11, 8 +2 from paranoia +1 from unawakened Sharingan. Cha: 13, 18 to 2 from paranoia 3 from antisocial. Allies: none. Equipment: weapons, redacted. Armor, redacted. Gear, redacted. Magic items, redacted. Description: Uchiha Sasuke, bearing the scars of his clan's tragedy, struggles with paranoia and antisocial tendencies. His psychological trauma has kept his Sharingan dormant, yet he remains a highly skilled shinobi. Driven by vengeance and marked by his past, Sasuke's journey is one of both internal and external battles. Closing square bracket. Note: removal of redactions may occur through leveling up or engaging in combat. Closing square bracket. Naruto blinked in disbelief. What the heck are these stats? He thought, astounded by the sheer numbers. Sasuke's stats were significantly higher than most of their classmates. As Naruto read through Sasuke's description, he felt an unexpected kinship. To think we're this similar, he mused. Sasuke, feeling a persistent gaze, turned his head slightly to catch Naruto looking at him. There was a look in Naruto's eyes that Sasuke couldn't quite place. Was it sympathy? The notion confused Sasuke. Why would Naruto, of all people, look at him with sympathy? Shaking off the perplexing thought, Sasuke refocused on the task at hand. Today's sparring session was an opportunity for him to test the fruits of his rigorous training from the previous week. He was determined to gauge his progress and see if his efforts had enhanced his skills. The matches were wrapping up. Shino had just beaten Kiba, and Choji took down a civilian student. That left just me and that Sasuke. The last match will be between Sasuke and Naruto. Please step onto the field, Ruruka announced, and I couldn't help but groan. Great, I'm up against the strongest in this class and I can't even use explosive seals, I muttered to myself, glaring at Sasuke's indifferent expression. I wondered how that cool facade of his would crack if he had to face off against my explosive seals. I paused for a moment, stretching my tongue against my teeth in annoyance, then reluctantly stepped up to the dirt field. The afternoon sun was blazing, and I could feel my palms beginning to sweat. World Quest Alert. Quest: Overcoming a Mountain. Objective: Defeat Sasuke Uchiha in a spar. Rewards: Closing square bracket. Failure: 20 Express. Action required: Acceptance or declination of quest. Why am I so nervous just because Sasuke is stronger? So what? I've faced opponents like the Rat Spearman and the Rat King, who were stronger than me, and I beat them. I'll beat Sasuke too. With a burst of resolve, I formed a half-ram hand sign, my pointer and middle fingers pointing up while my thumb held down the other two fingers, a gesture signaling my readiness for a duel. Sasuke mirrored my gesture. Hajime. Ruruka's voice rang out, signaling the start of the match. I watched Sasuke assume the famous Uchiha stance. He leaned forward on his right foot, his left foot stepping back, his right hand poised forward. I knew this stance well from watching countless mock battles. It was crafted to counter an opponent's moves, a technique I hadn't fully figured out yet. Maybe it involved the Sharingan, but honestly, I didn't care. Instead, I adopted the swirling kata stance, moving fluidly in a spiral. My body was relaxed yet alert, palms open and facing outward as I stepped lightly, ready to deflect and redirect. I could see the flicker of surprise in the eyes around us, quickly dismissed by most, probably thinking I was just joking around. Ignoring their skepticism, I focused on Sasuke, whose indifferent gaze was fixed on me, calculating. It was an interesting matchup. His style was all about countering, while mine was about evasion. Minutes ticked by as I maintained my swirling movements. Clearly growing impatient, Sasuke charged forward abruptly. He feigned a jab towards my head, but quickly pulled back his fist, aiming an elbow strike at the side of my guard instead. Reacting instantly, I dipped my torso and shifted my weight to my back leg, narrowly avoiding the blow. Seizing the moment, Sasuke attempted a shoulder check, aiming to knock me out of my circular path. However, his move wasn't as effective as he had hoped. I barely budged, staying firmly within the circle. A bead of sweat trailed down Sasuke's face, marking his surprise. He hadn't expected such resilience and skill from someone who was considered the class's dead last. His interest peaked. Sasuke now took the spar more seriously and adopted a more aggressive stance. Despite his preference for the classic Uchiha style, a style known for its counterattacks and precision, Sasuke was well versed in other techniques. He knew he might need to tap into these alternative styles until he could awaken his Sharingan, giving him the edge he desired. As Sasuke launched into a flying knee kick, I smoothly transitioned into the anti-clockwise spiral of the swirling kata. This form was all about movement, a defensive clockwise spiral to evade and an offensive anti-clockwise spiral to close in. I felt the ground beneath my feet as I traced the spiral pattern, each step grounding me further into my technique. Dodging Sasuke's flying kick by a hair's breadth, I continued my inward spiral, closing the distance between us with precision. Normally, at this moment, my outstretched hand would carry an explosive seal to mark my opponent, a swift, decisive end to any spar. But today, against Sasuke, such measures were off the table. No seals, no lethal force. He was a rival, not an enemy. So, I opted for a simple jab. Shifting my weight forward and twisting my hips to add force, I extended my arm in a smooth, fluid motion. My fist aimed for Sasuke's side, targeting a spot just under his ribcage, a place to disrupt his balance and breath without causing severe harm. As my fist connected with Sasuke's side, the impact was sharp and quick. Sasuke's body tensed as he absorbed the hit, his breath catching slightly from the unexpected jab. The force of my punch pushed him sideways, breaking his momentum and throwing him off balance for just a moment. Suddenly, a sharp pain exploded across my face, a hot flash of agony as my jaws clanked shut from the impact, sending shudders up through my skull. With blurred vision, I raised my half-open hand between us, partly to defend, partly to prepare for a more aggressive move. I might need to grab a fistful of his shirt soon, just to keep him at bay. The taste of blood filled my mouth, metallic and thick. No academy medic would tend to this self-inflicted wound, another one of those ridiculous rules that seemed to apply only to me. I spat a glob of bloody saliva to the side, eliciting a loud, "Ew," from the Sasuke fan club. A chuckle escaped me, briefly lightening my mood. I realized what I did wrong. That jab, it was solid, but it broke the flow. The offensive aspect of the swirling kata is meant to be more of a poke, a setup for the seal that delivers the actual damage. By throwing a full jab instead, I disrupted the continuity of the spiral movement. This break in flow meant I lost the rhythm that the kata relies on to blend defense seamlessly into attack. With gritted teeth, I spat again, clearing more blood, and readied myself. Sasuke threw a punch aimed at my exposed face, but I was quick to block it with my backhand. He grimaced as I counterattacked, driving a punch into his stomach. Meanwhile, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. In my desire to represent the Uzumaki heritage, I had pushed myself so hard that I ended up reverting to just being a brawler. The swirling kata was amazing, no doubt, but I had boxed myself into relying solely on it, simply because it carried the Uzumaki label. Is this my goal? I asked myself. Is this how I plan to honor my family? By fighting and limiting myself until I'm backed into a corner, forced to revert to just being what I am, Naruto. I paused, a new thought crystallizing in my mind. I am an Uzumaki, yes, but I am also Naruto. Why was I focusing solely on the Uzumaki side of me? Why was I ignoring the person I am? A surge of clarity washed over me. I am Naruto Uzumaki, and I'll honor them by being me. Sasuke swung a hook toward my head, but I immediately entered into a clockwise spiral. Midway through, as I came around to his side, I seized the opportunity. Jumping up, I launched into a corkscrew punch, an aerial maneuver where I extended my body horizontally, my fist leading into a spin and landing the punch directly into Sasuke's eye. The blow made Sasuke stagger a bit. I paused, anticipating his next move. True to form, he retaliated with a high kick aimed at my face. I spun on the ball of my heel, ducking low in a swift, fluid motion that allowed me to dodge his attack. Continuing the spin, I extended my leg, sweeping Sasuke's lone supporting leg right from under him. He fell hard, kicking up dust as he landed. I didn't waste a moment. Standing quickly, I extended my leg for another kick. I noticed the darkening in Sasuke's eye as he instinctively moved to protect his head. Anticipating this, I redirected my kick to his stomach, exploiting his momentary vulnerability. Sasuke gasped for air, his body folding over as he clutched his abdomen. The pain from the blow was evident in his wince, and for a moment, he struggled to regain his breath. Silence enveloped the entire class, jaws hanging open in disbelief. No one had ever lasted more than a minute against Sasuke in a spar, let alone engaged in such a fierce and bloody battle as the one unfolding between Sasuke and Naruto. Iruka, watching intently, felt the impulse to step in and stop the fight. But he hesitated, recognizing the significance of this moment for Naruto. If Naruto had managed to push Sasuke to this extent, it meant he had been training intensely in secret, dedicating weeks, perhaps months, to improving himself. Iruka couldn't bear to cut short this demonstration of Naruto's hard-earned progress. Meanwhile, the rest of the students were utterly stunned. The class clown, the prankster, the perennial dead last, they watched as he turned the class's top performer into a disheveled contender. Sasuke, always cool and composed, was now grappling to maintain his poise. Sasuke-kun, you can win this, Sakura shouted, her voice breaking the silence and rallying Sasuke's fanbase into a chorus of encouragement. In contrast, Hinata watched Naruto with admiration. As their eyes met briefly, she smiled warmly and nodded at him. As Sasuke tried to regain his balance and re-establish his position in the center, Naruto didn't give him the chance to fully correct his stance. With a burst of speed, Naruto tackled him back to the ground, pinning him before he could set himself properly. Naruto unleashed a flurry of strikes, capitalizing on his advantageous position. Sasuke, meanwhile, curled up into a defensive posture, trying to protect his head and torso from the onslaught. Each of Naruto's blows was filled with a predictable rhythm, a vulnerability common among fighters who hadn't yet learned to vary their attack patterns. Sasuke, sensing the repetition in Naruto's movements, looked for an opening. As Naruto raised his arm for another strike, Sasuke made his move. He caught Naruto's wrist, using his grip as leverage to twist his body sideways. This grappling maneuver was a basic but effective wrestling technique aimed at reversing their positions. Naruto tried to maintain his dominant position by shifting his weight, attempting to prevent Sasuke from turning the tables. He used his other hand to try and pin Sasuke's shoulder to the ground, aiming to stabilize himself and regain control. However, Sasuke managed to slip one leg between Naruto's, using his knee to push against Naruto's thigh, creating space between them. With a quick heave, Sasuke used his legs as springs, attempting to buck Naruto off. Naruto clung on, but the gap allowed Sasuke enough room to maneuver into a better defensive position. He locked his arms around Naruto's waist, preparing to execute a basic wrestling escape. As Sasuke locked his arms around Naruto's waist, preparing to execute a basic wrestling escape, Naruto countered unexpectedly by spitting in Sasuke's eye. The momentary flinch was all Naruto needed to gain the upper hand. Sasuke barely had time to react before he felt a sharp explosion of pain in his face as Naruto's elbow connected with it. Dazed and disoriented, Sasuke found himself lying on the ground, with Naruto looming over him. For a brief second, as he lay there, Sasuke's vision blurred, and he saw not Naruto, but Itachi above him, someone stronger, someone who had taken everything from him. The painful memory triggered a surge of anger and hatred in Sasuke's heart. Fueled by these intense emotions, Sasuke sprang up with a sweeping leg kick aimed at Naruto. Naruto, quick on his feet, jumped back to dodge the attack. For a brief moment, confusion flickered across Naruto's face as Sasuke charged toward him, driven by the wounds Itachi had left on him, wounds of hatred and despair. As if clouds were parting in the sky, clarity struck Sasuke. He could now predict Naruto's annoying spiraling movement. As Naruto moved in a clockwise spiral, Sasuke did the opposite. He executed an anti-clockwise spiral, but with a twist, he jumped, transforming the spiral into a circular motion. Extending his leg out, he slammed his foot directly into the back of Naruto's skull. The force and speed of the attack sent Naruto crashing headfirst into the ground with a resounding slam. Sasuke stood up, feeling the weight of numerous eyes on him. As he turned around, he sensed their fear, their eyes wide as they looked at him as if he were someone else, as if he were Itachi. The realization chilled him. "See, congratulations, Sasuke. You have unlocked your Sharingan," Iruka stammered, his voice breaking the tense silence as he rushed towards the fallen Naruto. Sasuke froze, pulling out his kunai instinctively, his heart racing. When he looked down, what greeted him in the reflection were two red irises marked with a single comma, the fabled One-Tomo Sharingan. Naruto's eyes fluttered open, and he immediately squinted against the harsh light flooding the room. As his vision adjusted, a head-splitting headache surged through his skull, feeling as if he had slammed his head against a wall. The pain was sharp and throbbing, pulsating with every beat of his heart. "Naruto, here." He heard a familiar voice and saw a blurry hand extending towards him with a pill. Gratefully, he took it, his fingers clumsy and weak. He was handed a glass of water, and he gripped it with both hands, bringing it to his lips with shaky movements. The water felt cool and soothing as he swallowed the pill, helping to ease the raw dryness of his throat. As the medication began to take effect, Naruto felt the vice-like grip of the headache gradually loosen. "How are you feeling?" the voice asked. "Like I want ramen," Naruto murmured almost instinctively as he looked around, trying to orient himself. He was in the school infirmary. The room was stark and clinical, with white walls and the faint smell of antiseptic. Beds were lined up with crisp, clean sheets, and medical equipment was neatly arranged throughout the space. "Of course you do," Iruka said with a gentle chuckle, setting the glass down on a nearby tray. "Quest failure, 20 Express." He dismissed the notification with a wave of his hand. "Guess I lost," Naruto grumbled, his voice tinged with disappointment. "Naruto." Iruka placed his hand on his shoulder, prompting him to look up. "You were amazing out there. No one in your class has pushed Sasuke to that point. If it wasn't for Sasuke awakening that Sharingan." "Sharingan, you mean those red eyes?" Naruto interrupted, his tone shifting as he connected the dots. "You saw them?" Iruka asked, surprised. "Of course, I was confused why the Tem's eyes were red." "So, he awoke the Sharingan," Naruto said, a smile creeping onto his face as he remembered that the unawakened Sharingan gave the Tem some stat boosts, which meant the awakened Sharingan gave that emo a bigger boost. "Loser had to get a power up to beat me." Iruka's sweat dropped as Naruto held his head high, clearly proud despite the defeat. "Good, you're back to normal," he said with a relieved sigh. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Don't worry, I was just worried what Sasuke's last attack might have done. The nurse said you were fine but..." Iruka's voice trailed off, his expression tinged with anxiety. "Thanks, Iruka-sensei, but you should leave, you have classes to teach," Naruto said, dismissing the concern with a wave of his hand. "Naruto, school is over," Iruka replied, a slight amusement in his tone. "Oh, so I missed school," Naruto said, his smile broadening. He seemed genuinely pleased by the news, his earlier troubles momentarily forgotten. Iruka sighed and pulled out a hefty notebook. "Hinata left me with these," he explained, opening it to show the meticulous notes inside. "She took 2 sets of notes in class, one for herself and one for you." Naruto looked down, and to his surprise, he felt a few tears escape his eyes. The gesture touched him more deeply than he expected. "Guess you found a friend, huh, Naruto?" Iruka said with a warm smile. Naruto nodded, quickly wiping his face to hide his emotions. "Here, eat some," Iruka said, handing Naruto a plate of apple slices cut into bunny rabbit shapes. Naruto accepted the plate, his curiosity piqued. "Don't worry, I made those," Iruka continued with a mischievous grin. "They were from your girl LL, friend," he rolled the R exaggeratedly, teasing Naruto about Hinata. Thanks, sensei, Naruto replied, his response washing over Iruka's playful intent with complete obliviousness. But was Iruka deterred? Not at all. The hint of mischief remained in his eyes as he prepared for another attempt to tease Naruto. I think you should get Hinata a gift, Iruka suggested, watching Naruto's reaction closely. I'll get her a gift, sensei, Naruto responded, his voice carrying a tone of determination. He seemed oblivious to the deeper implications of Iruka's suggestion, his mind already racing through potential gifts for Hinata. Iruka sighed, shaking his head slightly as he mumbled under his breath, I hope that kick Sasuke gave you would cure your obliviousness. Did you say something, sensei? Naruto asked, his attention snapping back to Iruka. I think we need to talk, Naruto, Iruka said, his tone shifting. We do? Naruto asked, curious about what was on Iruka's mind. Yeah, firstly, I tried to check some information about Uzushiogakure, but I couldn't find any. I'm sorry, Iruka explained, looking a bit apologetic. That's okay, Iruka-sensei. Hinata told me about Uzushiogakure, Naruto replied, relaying the information Hinata had shared with him. Iruka seemed surprised but nodded. I'll try to see if I can find more information, he promised. Thanks, sensei, Naruto said gratefully. Well, aside from that, let's talk about your spar, Iruka brought up the topic of the earlier match. What about it? Naruto asked, a hint of nervousness in his voice. Don't worry, you aren't in trouble, Iruka reassured him, noticing the anxious look on Naruto's face. Naruto nodded, still nervous. He scrambled mentally for an excuse about how he knew the swirling kata. He obviously couldn't reveal the system, that would be too retarded, even for him. Naruto. Iruka began, but he was cut off by Naruto's sudden outburst. I made the taijutsu up. Naruto blurted out loudly. Iruka blinked in surprise. Wow, but I think, Naruto, you should stop your experimentation and learn the academy style. Combine both. It's not like the academy style is going to clash with your very own fighting style, Iruka suggested as he placed a book down. Naruto nodded, already realizing that he didn't want to limit himself to just the Uzumaki label. Anything that could make him stronger, Uzumaki branded or not, was good for him. I'll learn it, sensei, Naruto declared with determination. You stay here, I'll get the nurse to give you a check-up, Iruka said, preparing to leave the room. Sensei, Naruto called out, stopping Iruka in his tracks. Thank you for staying by my side even after school is over. Iruka blushed slightly at the heartfelt thanks. Let's get ramen, after the check-up, he suggested, smiling. Yada. Naruto cheered, his spirits lifting instantly. But if the nurse says no, we eat something else, Iruka added, knowing well Naruto's penchant for ramen. Fine, Naruto grumbled, clearly not thrilled with the possibility of missing out on his favorite food. System Quest Alert. Quest. Learn Basic Academy Taijutsu. Objective. Perform Basic Kata. Perform 200 punches, kicks, and rolls. Reward. Basic Academy Taijutsu. Failure. None. Closing square bracket. Action required. Confirm acceptance or declination of class skill. Closing square bracket. A few minutes later, Iruka returned to the infirmary, accompanied by the school nurse, who was a retired medical ninja. They were discussing Naruto's condition as they entered. So, I don't think Naruto is suffering from any form of brain damage. Iruka's voice trailed off as he and the nurse stopped dead in their tracks, staring in disbelief. Naruto was on the floor, rolling back and forth energetically. Naruto, what are you doing? Iruka asked, trying to make sense of the scene. Rolls, Naruto replied matter-of-factly, pausing his rolling to switch to push-ups. Why? Iruka probed further, his confusion growing. To learn the academy taijutsu, Naruto stated, as if it were the most obvious answer, pushing up and down with determination. Iruka turned to the nurse. He clearly has brain damage. I am stupid. I am stupid. I am stupid. Naruto repeated this mantra to himself, feeling frustrated. He had just completed his quest in about an hour after leaving the school, and now, as he slapped his forehead in exasperation, he gazed at the system interface displayed before him. Skill. Beginner Academy Taijutsu. Description. Taijutsu, or hand-to-hand combat, is essential for all shinobi. This beginner level focuses on proper stances, basic strikes, kicks, and blocks. Closing square bracket. Active enhancements. Strength, STR, modifier, +2 for 30 seconds upon activation. Closing square bracket. Vitality, VIT, modifier, +2 for 30 seconds upon activation. Closing square bracket. Dexterity, Dex, modifier, +2 for 30 seconds upon activation. Closing square bracket. Skill. Beginner Academy Tactics, active. Description. Teaches team formations, ambush strategies, counter-ambush tactics, and various battlefield maneuvers. Closing square bracket. Active enhancements. Intelligence, int, modifier, +3 for 30 seconds upon activation. Closing square bracket. Wisdom, WIS, modifier, +3 for 30 seconds upon activation. Closing square bracket. As Naruto scrolled through the details, his earlier frustration wasn't because the skills were easy to learn or because he could have missed out due to his careless oversight of his identity assimilation. The real reason Naruto was scolding himself was because of the quest he had almost overlooked. System Quest Alert. Quest. Pick up the books. Objective. Pick up the books on Beginner, Intermediate, and Advanced Academy Taijutsu. Closing square bracket. Rewards. The Senju clan's Taijutsu. +100 reputation with redacted. Failure. None. Action required. Confirm acceptance or declination of quest. Closing square bracket. He gazed at the system, realizing just how close he had come to missing out on a great opportunity. With a relieved sigh, he wiped the sweat from his forehead. So, I guess I need to find books for the intermediate and advanced versions. Datbeo. If only I had a magic item that could instantly unlock the skills. His attention then shifted to the reputation bonus in the rewards. Reputation, he mumbled, tapping on the interface to bring up his current standings. The list was more extensive than he expected. Kanahagakur, hated 15 1,000ths. Landlord, hated 50 1,000ths. Uruka, friendly 660 1,000ths. Mizuki, hated 10 1,000ths. Sarutobi Hiruzen, friendly 700 1,000ths. Konoha Merchant Guild, hated 5 1,000ths. Ichiraku Ramen, revered 1,000 1,000. Akamichi Bakery, hated 15 1,000ths. Konoha General Store, hated 1 1,000th. Konoha Clothiers, hated 1 1,000th. Unknown, hated 5 1,000ths. Unknown, hated 1 1,000th. Surplus Arms, hated 1 1,000th. Uchiha Sasuke, friendly 600 1,000ths. Haruno Sakura, unfriendly 90 1,000ths. Nara Shikamaru, neutral 450 1,000ths. Akamichi Choji, neutral 320 1,000ths. Yamanaka Ino, neutral 300 1,000ths. Hyuga Hinata, revered 1,000 1,000. Inazuka Kiba, neutral 250 1,000ths. Aburame Shino, neutral 300 1,000ths. Shimura Clan, hated 10 1,000ths. Sarutobi Clan, neutral 500 1,000ths. Naruto sighed, his heart sinking as he saw how many people and places in Konoha hated him. Is all of Konoha mentally ill or something? He muttered to himself, frustration mounting. Please don't tell me all of Konoha hates me. Because of the Uzumaki clan or some other dumb reason that I clearly have no control over. He pinched the bridge of his nose, closing his eyes for a moment to gather his thoughts before looking at the system screen once more. Great, it's real, he grumbled. Let me guess, if I can somehow check my reputation, I'll find that I'm also hated by every other village in the world, huh? Naruto asked the empty room, his voice dripping with sarcasm. The thought that his entire village, his home, practically despised him was a painful realization. He felt the weight of their unwarranted animosity bearing down on him, making it hard to see any positivity in his situation. Yet, there were a few glimmers of hope: Uruka, Hiruzen, Hinata, and Ichiraku Ramen. He tapped the icon, seeking more information about the reputation system. A black box with yellow writing appeared, but no arrows pointed to anything. Reputation. The reputation tracks a character's standing with various individuals, organizations, and groups. It reflects how the character is perceived and treated within different factions or communities. Closing square bracket. Reputation ranges and statuses. 0. Despised, the lowest possible standing, often resulting in hostility or complete exclusion. Closing square bracket. 1 to 50. Hated, a negative standing where the character faces distrust and aversion. Closing square bracket. 51 to 200. Unfriendly, character is known but not well regarded, leading to minimal cooperation. Closing square bracket. 201 to 500. Neutral, a neutral stance where the character is neither favored nor disliked. Basic interactions are possible. Closing square bracket. 501 to 800. Friendly, a positive standing where the character is welcomed and assisted. Closing square bracket. 801 to 950. Honored, high regard and respect from the faction, leading to significant support and benefits. Closing square bracket. 951-1000. Revered, the highest level of esteem, offering the best possible support, resources, and opportunities from the faction. Closing square bracket. Benefits at each level. Despised. Character faces active hostility and is barred from most interactions or transactions. Closing square bracket. Hated. Limited interaction, with most services or assistance denied. Closing square bracket. Unfriendly. Basic interactions allowed, but with limited access to resources or information. Closing square bracket. Neutral. Standard level of interaction with no special privileges or restrictions. Closing square bracket. Friendly. Improved cooperation, access to better resources, and favorable treatment. Closing square bracket. Honored. Access to exclusive resources, high-level assistance, and strong support. Closing square bracket. Revered. Best possible support, including access to top-tier resources, special missions, and unique opportunities. Closing square bracket. Note: reputation can be improved or worsened through actions, decisions, and interactions within the world. Closing square bracket. Some factions or individuals may offer unique rewards or opportunities at different reputation levels. Closing square bracket. Well, that's some bullshit, Naruto grumbled to himself. Naruto's gaze lingered on the honored status next to Hinata's name, puzzling over why she regarded him so highly. He paused for a moment, lost in thought, before a small smile crept onto his face. At least I know Hinata is a true friend, he said to himself. His attention then shifted to the friendly status next to Sarutobi Hiruzen's name, which contrasted starkly with the neutral status of the Sarutobi clan. I thought the Sarutobi clan liked me, Naruto mused, his lips pursing in confusion. Guess it's just some people in the clan, not the whole clan. He let out a sigh, realizing the complexity of his relationships within the village. It wasn't as straightforward as he had initially thought. Naruto's eyes widened in awe as the new orange window materialized before him, filled with thumbnail-sized images representing his current attire and gear. Cool, he whispered, unable to hide the idiotic grin spreading across his face. Driven by curiosity, Naruto tapped on the image of his jacket, eager to discover what attributes it might hold. The window expanded, revealing the jacket's attributes. Orange overstock jacket. Material: thin, lightweight. Closing square bracket. Protection level: minimal. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers: AC +5, Dex +1, movement speed. Closing square bracket. Status effects: -15% stealth efficiency, -5% reputation gains. Closing square bracket. Durability: 2/30. Closing square bracket. Description: basic outerwear offering limited protection and reduced stealth capabilities. Suitable for basic environmental exposure. Closing square bracket. Warning: due to the material being so old, effects can't be applied. Closing square bracket. What? Naruto exclaimed, his excitement quickly turning to frustration. That's bullshit, again. This game is freaking broken, goddamn it. Annoyed, he flicked his finger, closing the window. Not one to give up easily, Naruto tapped on his pants. Orange overstocked running pants. Material: thin, lightweight. Closing square bracket. Protection level: slightly enhanced. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers: AC +2, Dex +1. Closing square bracket. Status effects: -15% stealth efficiency, -5% reputation gains. Closing square bracket. Durability: 3/30. Closing square bracket. Description: lightweight pants providing minimal protection. Offers slight agility improvement at the cost of stealth and reputation. Closing square bracket. Warning: Due to the material being so old, effects can't be applied. Closing square bracket. Naruto inspected his shoes. Blue Academy issue shinobi sandals. Material, flexible, light. Closing square bracket. Protection level, basic. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers, AC +3, Dex +2. Closing square bracket. Status effects, +5% stealth efficiency. Closing square bracket. Durability, 10/30. Closing square bracket. Description, optimized for novice shinobi. Enhances mobility without impeding chakra flow. Offers minimal defense. Closing square bracket. Warning, due to the material being so old, effects can't be applied. Closing square bracket. Finally, he tapped on his goggles. Green goggles. Material, high quality, durable. Closing square bracket. Protection level, advanced. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers, AC +5. Closing square bracket. Status effects, +10% observation efficiency. Closing square bracket. Durability, 40/50. Closing square bracket. Description, superior eye protection designed for field use, particularly suitable for dujutsu users. Closing square bracket. Naruto's jaw dropped as he realized something shocking. You mean to tell me that I have been fighting gearless for how long? He was on the verge of exploding with frustration as he grabbed the nearest thing, which happened to be a beautiful white book adorned with a red camellia flower design. He slowly slammed his hand into it again and again, venting his annoyance. Why is it always me? He lamented, his voice rising in exasperation. First sabotage, then hatred, and now this crap, gear with no stat effects. After a minute of taking out his frustration on the poor book, Naruto looked up and smirked. Okay, let's add that to the reasons why the emo loser won. Because I was nerfed, both with my gear and my abilities, and he got a power-up. Naruto sat in his apartment, pondering his next move. He needed better gear, but the glaring problem was his lack of money. Just as he was about to succumb to frustration, a light bulb went off in his head. Wait a minute, he shouted, quickly rummaging through his inventory. He pulled out 2 items that he had almost forgotten about. Items. Rat gold tooth. Description, a rare tooth, possibly valuable to certain collectors or useful in specific crafting. Closing square bracket. Durability, redacted. Refined ore. Description, high quality ore, essential for crafting superior weapons or armor. Closing square bracket. Durability, redacted. A grin spread across Naruto's face as he realized the potential of these items. I can sell these, right? He thought aloud. This could be my ticket to some decent gear, and maybe even a nice gift for Hinata. Gold shop. In the bustling gold shop of Konoha, Epstein, a man from Retiku in the west, found himself a long way from home. He had left his homeland to escape the oppressive corruption and exorbitant taxes levied by the royal family. Seeking a fresh start, he opened his shop in this less tumultuous village, where the air was free of the heavy scent of greed that pervaded Retiku. As the door to his shop swung open, Epstein caught his breath at the sight of the woman who entered. She was striking, with long blonde hair that cascaded down her shoulders and a figure that seemed sculpted for elegance, uncommon in the western section of Konoha, especially since this area was the red light district. She wore a dress that whispered of nobility, its fine fabric and stylish cut were far from the local fashion. Great, I've hit the jackpot, Epstein thought, a smile playing on his lips as he anticipated a profitable interaction. The woman approached the counter gracefully and placed what appeared to be a gold-plated rat's tooth on the surface. Epstein blinked a few times, taken aback by the unusual item, then turned his attention to the woman, who began to communicate through hand signs. 10K. She signed, her hands moving with fluid precision. Epstein raised an eyebrow skeptically. Madam, he began, his voice steady despite the allure of potential wealth before him, I've been in this business long enough to know the value of gold. And while the tooth is certainly unique, I can't justify your asking price. The woman leaned in closer, giving Epstein a good look at her figure. He blinked, thinking he saw a distortion for a moment, but as he took in her appearance, he dismissed it with a gulp. Must be my mind playing tricks, he thought. But consider the rarity, Mr. Epstein. This isn't just any gold tooth, it's a piece of history, a treasure. Chuckling slightly, Epstein responded, history, you say? Well, History doesn't pay the bills, my dear. I can go as high as 5,000 ryo, but that's my final offer. The woman pouted playfully, her hands expressing her displeasure as fluidly as if she were speaking. Oh, Mr. Epstein, you drive a hard bargain, she signed, her eyes smiling. But what about 9,000 ryo? For such a unique piece, it's a steal. A steal, you say? More like highway robbery. Epstein laughed, thoroughly enjoying the banter despite himself. But I admire your persistence. Let's meet in the middle, 7,500 ryo. She tapped her finger to her lips, a theatrical gesture of contemplation, before signing her agreement. All right, Mr. Epstein, you've convinced me. 7,500 ryo it is. But you're breaking my heart here, she signed with a playful wink. As they finalized the transaction, Epstein watched her gracefully exit his shop, the gold tooth sold for a handsome sum. But as the door closed behind her, there was a sudden puff of smoke, and in her place stood Naruto, grinning cheekily with the money in hand. Epstein's jaw dropped in shock as he realized he'd been duped. Naruto nervously laughed at Epstein. Look, the sun, he exclaimed, pointing towards the window. As Epstein's gaze followed the direction of his finger, Naruto dashed out of the shop, laughing all the way, with the 7,500 ryo securely in his grasp. As he ran through the streets, Naruto couldn't help but feel a rush of exhilaration. That worked better than I thought, he thought, amused at his own cunning. Now, time to buy some gear, and maybe something nice for Hinata. World Quest Alert. Quest. Find a shop. Objective. Use any means necessary to locate a shop that will sell gear to Naruto Uzumaki. Closing square bracket. Reward. 1,000 ryo. Failure. None. Closing square bracket. Action required. Confirm acceptance or declination of quest. Closing square bracket. Naruto groaned as he sat on the bench, scrolling through the system. I didn't even think of that, he muttered to himself, frustration mounting. Most of the stores in Konoha disliked him, and even if he offered double the money, they would probably sell him subpar gear. He couldn't even use transformation jutsu to solve his problem because it wouldn't change his voice. Seriously, someone needs to invent a jutsu that can help us mimic voices, he thought aloud. As he pondered his dilemma, an idea suddenly struck him. Quickly, he opened the reputation system and began to sort through all the shops in Konoha. 15 minutes later, he was nearly ready to give up and go complain to the Hokage about his predicament, hoping maybe his Jiji could intervene and get him the gear he needed. Just as he was about to close the system in defeat, a shop with a neutral reputation towards him caught his eye. Higurashi Shop, Naruto read aloud, a small wave of relief washing over him. Great, now let's find someone who can tell me where this Higurashi Shop is. Naruto was surprised to find the Higurashi Shop situated on the eastern side of the forest, near the river. The shop was not at all what he expected. Instead of a typical storefront, it was a large, multi-story watermill house made of stone and timber. The rustic structure featured a functional water wheel attached to its side, using the flow of the river to operate. The roof was covered with wooden shingles, and there were several wooden balconies protruding from different levels of the house. A stone chimney with smoke coming out. I am in the right place, right? Entering the Higurashi weapons shop, Naruto was greeted by the sight of a well-worn establishment that boasted of serving Konoha since its very founding. The door behind him closed with a soft thud, followed by the gentle jingle of a bell. The shop appeared empty at first glance, its interior a fascinating array of weapons and armor that captivated Naruto's attention. Hello, Naruto called out, his voice echoing slightly in the quiet shop. A response came from the back, be with you in a second. The voice was gruff and no nonsense. As Naruto waited, he couldn't help but marvel at the variety of equipment surrounding him. Swords, kunai, shuriken, and various types of armor filled the shelves and racks. His observer skill was in overdrive, identifying each item and its potential use. This place is like a treasure trove for ninjas, Naruto thought, impressed. As Naruto waited, the shopkeeper emerged, a large man with a stern expression that briefly flickered to surprise when he saw Naruto before quickly settling back into neutrality. Is this a shop? Indeed, the man replied, his voice deep and resonant. But it's so far away from the shopping district, Naruto noted, his curiosity piqued. Those who want good quality stuff will make the effort to walk here. If they can't, then they don't deserve my creations, the man explained, a hint of pride in his tone. Creations? Naruto echoed, intrigued. I am a blacksmith. You can call me Mr. Higurashi, the man said as he stood behind the counter, wiping his hands on a cloth before extending one in greeting. Naruto shook it. What can I do for you, young man? Naruto replied, I'm here to buy some gear or get my current gear fixed. The shopkeeper, Mr. Higurashi, raised an eyebrow, taking a critical look at Naruto's attire. Take off the jacket and let me see it, he instructed, and Naruto quickly complied. As Naruto handed over the jacket, Mr. Higurashi noted with some amusement that Naruto had not brought any other clothing to wear, leaving him temporarily jacketless. He began inspecting the jacket thoroughly. Can you tell me what's wrong? Naruto asked, eager to understand the issues. Mr. Higurashi started pointing out various problems. Let's see, he began, his fingers tracing along the material. This jacket's leather lining is worn down, which is a big problem. It's supposed to offer you both protection and mobility. But due to its old age and the wear it has seen, it's hardly functional now. You see here, he continued, showing a frayed edge on the sleeve, and here, indicating a patch where the leather had thinned, these areas are particularly vulnerable. It compromises the jacket's ability to protect you properly while also restricting movement where the material has stiffened or bunched up. Can it be fixed? Mr. Higurashi nodded. Easily, but the sleeves and collar have to go, he declared, examining the jacket further. Why? Naruto inquired, puzzled about the specific changes needed. Mr. Higurashi explained, look, the leather and the lining are old and worn out. To fix it properly, I need to replace them with both leather and chain mail. Because a shinobi isn't going to get enough protection from just leather alone, I suggest a combination of 3 layers. The first layer is simple cloth, then leather, and finally chain mail. This triple layer approach is in line with the standard genin gear protocol. I am not a genin. Naruto asked. But you are about to become one. You have traces of chakra around your skin, meaning you just used a transformation jutsu not too long ago. Academy students who are about to graduate learn such jutsus, and it's the time of the year when graduations begin. So, this jacket would need to be ready for more rigorous use. You are smart, Naruto said in awe, impressed by Mr. Higurashi's skills. So, just fix the jacket, he instructed, then quickly added, and the pants. Right, both jacket and pants need to be fixed, and I see that you don't have a set of new clothes to wear. Are you planning to buy more? Mr. Higurashi inquired. Naruto thought about it for a moment before nodding. Let's see if we can get you some decent gear, though. How much money are you looking to spend? Naruto, slightly taken aback by the blunt question, responded, I only have 5,500 ryo. He had already planned out his budget, 1,000 ryo for a gift for Hinata and the rest for food and other essentials. The shopkeeper nodded understandingly. All right, with that budget, I can fix the jacket and pants for 5,000 ryo. You'll then have 500 ryo left, and a new jacket and pants cost 2,000 ryo each. Naruto's lips pursed as he did the math. Now what? I kinda need both. How about this, Mr. Higurashi proposed, my regular delivery girl is out on a mission. You can work after school for the next week and I'll give you a jacket and pants as payment. That works for me. Naruto took a moment to study the shopkeeper as he trundled through the narrow aisles. He was a large man, easily twice Naruto's height. He had a large gut but his arms were thicker than Naruto was and they were very well muscled. Here, said the shopkeeper, handing Naruto a pair of black pants. They looked like standard issue shinobi pant. Item: Charcoal Academy issue pants. Material: thin, lightweight, reinforced with light leather armor. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers: Dex +2, AC +3, HP +15. Status effects: +5% stealth efficiency. Closing square bracket. Durability: 600/600. Closing square bracket. Description: these pants offer a balanced combination of mobility and protection. The light leather reinforcement provides a significant defense boost while maintaining agility and enhancing stealth capabilities. Ideal for a variety of shinobi missions. Closing square bracket. Pick a jacket, said the shopkeeper holding up 4 different jackets. Item: Black and Crimson Academy issue jacket. Opening square bracket. Material, thin, lightweight, reinforced with light leather armor. Closing square bracket. Protection level, reasonable. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers. Dex +2, movement speed and agility AC +4, HP +1/2. Closing square bracket. Durability, 600/600. Closing square bracket. Description. A well-balanced jacket offering defense and agility. The combination of black and crimson colors does not particularly enhance or hinder stealth. Suitable for diverse shinobi missions requiring a blend of strength and speed. Closing square bracket. Item. Black and Navy Academy issue jacket. Material, thin, lightweight, reinforced with light leather armor. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers. Dex +4, movement speed and agility STR +1, HP +1/2. Closing square bracket. Durability, 600/600. Closing square bracket. Description. This jacket, in black and navy, provides a reasonable defense while maintaining agility. It does not significantly affect stealth capabilities, making it a versatile choice for various missions. Closing square bracket. Item. Black and White Academy issue jacket. Material, thin, lightweight, reinforced with light leather armor. Closing square bracket. Protection level, reasonable. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers. Dex +3, movement speed and agility STR +2, HP +1/2. Closing square bracket. Durability, 600/600. Closing square bracket. Description. Offering a balance of protection and mobility, this black with white cuffs jacket is well suited for a range of shinobi activities. The color scheme has a neutral impact on stealth. Closing square bracket. Item. Black Academy issue jacket. Material, thin, lightweight, reinforced with light leather armor. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers. Dex +2, movement speed and agility HP +1/2. Closing square bracket. Status effects, +5% stealth efficiency. Closing square bracket. Durability, 600/600. Closing square bracket. Description. This all-black jacket provides reasonable defense and enhanced agility. The color and design offer a slight boost to stealth, making it a strategic choice for missions requiring discretion. Closing square bracket. Aren't these for academy level? Naruto asked, eyeing the gear Mr. Higurashi had laid out for him. Of course, graduation is about 45 days away, and I noticed that you value that orange jumpsuit more. So, you'll probably just use that jumpsuit more than these, Mr. Higurashi explained. Naruto nodded but couldn't resist adding a joke. You just don't want me to get free genin level gear, he said with a smirk. Mr. Higurashi lightly tapped Naruto on the head, amused by his suspicion. Don't think too much about it. Okay, so can I get these clothes in orange? Naruto asked, his eyes lighting up with excitement. Just get a chakra dye, Mr. Higurashi suggested casually. Chakra dye. Naruto echoed, puzzled. Mr. Higurashi walked over to the counter and pulled out a box of plain-looking rocks. Item. Chakra rock. Type. Magical resource. Description. A unique stone that becomes saturated with chakra after being in close proximity to a specially treated plant. This plant, which has been channeled with chakra continuously for a month, becomes sensitive to chakra natures. The stones, found near the plant's roots, absorb this chakra essence, making them valuable in crafting. Closing square bracket. Just grind these stones to a powder and you'll have chakra dye. It sticks to clothing like normal dye, but due to its chakra nature, the dye can change normal clothing from an original color to, in your case, orange, he explained. As Mr. Higurashi spoke, Naruto absorbed the information, thrilled by the possibility of transforming the emo colors into his beloved bright orange. However, a question lingered in his mind. Aren't you going to say that orange isn't a ninja color? Naruto asked, recalling the lessons from his teachers and his fellow classmates that always mocked his orange. Let me guess, your civilian teachers told you that, Mr. Higurashi deduced, earning a nod from Naruto. Look, it doesn't matter what color your clothing is. When a ninja needs to hide, they use transformation jutsu. You can just make it so that the light reflecting off your bright clothing is camouflaged to the environment. Naruto's admiration for Mr. Higurashi grew immensely. You are cool, he blurted out, genuinely impressed. Mr. Higurashi simply sweat dropped at Naruto's enthusiasm. Sure. Naruto grinned at seeing the blue window pop up. Alert. World Quest. Quest title. Deliver the goods. Objective. Ensured timely delivery of a box to the Hokage Tower within 15 minutes. The box contains vital supplies from Higurashi weapons. Closing square bracket. Rewards. 10 experience points, express. 500 Ryo. Enhanced reputation with Higurashi weapons. Closing square bracket. Penalty for failure. 5 experience points, express. 100 Ryo. Decreased reputation with Higurashi weapons. Closing square bracket. Action required. Acceptance or declination of quest. Naruto tapped the acceptance. Great, take this box to the Hokage Tower. Be careful, it's heavy. Oh, and make sure the receptionist signs for it. Naruto picked up the box happily and ran out of the shop with it. As soon as he was out the door, the timer popped up and began to count down. Let's do this, he almost shouted as he took off at his top speed. 9 minutes later, Naruto had arrived at the tower and reported to the tower reception with the box. As soon as he got her to sign the form, the timer stopped with 0 hours 5 minutes and 43 seconds left on the clock. Task completion confirmed. Delivery successfully completed ahead of schedule. Next step. Return to Higurashi weapons to claim your reward. Closing square bracket. Naruto grinned and strolled out of the tower with a little bounce to his step. Completion awarded. Experience points, expressed 10. Currency. 500 Ryo. Reputation increase. Plus 50 with Higurashi weapons. Bonus award. Additional experience points, express 50, 10 express per minute remaining. Additional currency. 500 Ryo, 100 Ryo per minute remaining. Additional reputation increase. Plus 250 with Higurashi weapons, 50 reputation points per minute remaining. Good work, come back next tomorrow and I have another delivery for you. Naruto's paw. I've never liked being alone. While some might relish solitude, it's always been an unwelcome part of my life. Not a constant companion, but rather an occasional visitor, one that I've stopped trying to keep at bay. Over the past few days, I've grown numb to it. Normally, I'd do anything to chase away this loneliness, acting the class clown, pulling pranks, even enduring the scolding, anything for a moment's respite from the isolation that surrounds me. But since this system entered my life, things have changed. I don't know how or why I have it, but it doesn't matter. It's shielded me from my loneliness. It's given me a new identity tied to the Uzumaki clan, and it's brought me a friendship with Hinata. Because of this, I've become numb. Numb to the villagers steering their children away from me as I walk down the street. Numb on the days when I'm completely ignored. It doesn't bother me anymore. Let them stare until their eyes bleed, let them hate all they want. It doesn't touch me anymore. Their disdain can't break me, strip away my newfound pride, or sever the connections I have with my friends, my mentor, and my loved ones. All they have is their hate, and I don't care about that. A small grin replaced the frown on my face as I walked through the relatively empty streets of Konoha, a village that wakes early. Many here make a living either producing or selling goods. A perfect example is Ichiraku Ramen. Despite being a small restaurant that seats only about 6 people, making most take their food to go, it's been around for decades. Iyame and Mr. Tuki, who run the place, live above the shop but are mostly found downstairs, serving up bowls of ramen to the early risers and late-night crowds alike. The morning chill cut through my jacket and trousers, sending a shiver down my spine. Winter was not yet in full swing, so there was no snow, but a white frost covered the grass and fog clung to the windows of the village houses as I walked through the streets. I entered the shop through the back door, carefully locking it behind me. Tenuchi had noticed how customers often left whenever I walked in during the busy morning hours. Since most of the patrons were civilians, he suggested I use the back entrance during those times. I was grateful for his thoughtfulness. Perhaps it was because I had loudly declared that I was going to tell everyone who left last time, or maybe it was simply because Tenuchi wanted to keep the peace. Either way, his intervention made things easier for everyone. The warmth inside hit my face, a stark contrast to the cold outside, and I quickly shrugged off my jacket, struggling to hang it on the rack behind the door. A light voice chuckled at my struggle. I must be dreaming, the great orange connoisseur is wearing some new clothes for once. You like? I asked with a grin, turning to face her. It's an improvement, but why is it dyed like that? Ayame asked, her soft brown hair framing her warm, chocolate brown eyes that always seemed to carry a friendly spark. I looked down at my new jacket and pants, which were a mess. I had botched the chakra dye process by forgetting to add enough vinegar to the powder, which was supposed to turn the powder a certain color and then just leave the clothes in for 5 minutes. Apparently, you also have to refine the powder hundreds of times to get the brightest color. So, my new clothes ended up looking like, well, diarrhea. It's a working process, I told Ayame, who just nodded understandingly. Dad's in the middle of making some ramen broth, but we've got last night's leftovers in the fridge if you want them. Unfortunately, there's no miso, but there's tonkatsu and salt. Which one do you want? Tonkatsu, I replied with a smile, to which Ayame shook her head in amusement. Come in and help me, she said. Really? I asked, still smiling. No cooking, Dad is mad about last time, Ayame warned. Okay, so what am I helping you with? I asked, curious about what she had in mind. Dishes, Ayame said as she clasped her hands together and gave me a mischievous smile. I knew all too well that she detested doing dishes and would try everything in her power to get me to wash them. But that wasn't much of a chore for me since I was often bribed by the opportunity to taste her experimental ramen recipes, like the lemon honey pepper ramen. We moved into the kitchen where Mr. Tuki stood over 4 boiling pots with a mesh sieve in one hand. Every so often, he would scoop the scum off the top of each pot and empty it into the sink. I guess he couldn't hear us over the sound of the bubbling pots. With the morning cold at my back and the kitchen's warmth at my front, I watched as Mr. Tuki tossed a whole onion, about 2 cloves of garlic, and a ginger stick into each pot. Eventually, when he had placed a lid over each pot, he noticed me. Oh, he wiped his hands on his apron. Hello there, Naruto. Would you like me to make you a bowl for breakfast? Don't worry, Ayame-ne-chan is bringing me a tonkatsu bowl, one reassured Tuki as he eyed me, suspecting Ayame was avoiding dish duty. Dishes? He probed, and I initially shook my head. No. Naruto, Tuki pressed further, and with a sigh, I nodded in acquiescence. Hey, if this ninja thing doesn't work out, maybe I'll fire Ayame and hire you, Tuki joked, only to receive a sharp glare from Ayame as she placed my breakfast bowl in front of me. I muttered a brief thanks and began eating, my mood dampening at the thought of the school day ahead. The sting of onion filled my nose, and suddenly Ayame snapped her fingers in front of my face. Huh, I wiped the tears from my eyes, caused by the strong onions. Who are you and what have you done with Naruto? Ayame half joked. Well, I was just thinking, I replied, noticing Ayame and Tuki exchange worried glances. Their concern only made me chuckle. What are you thinking about, oh great orange philosopher? Ayame teased. I paused, absent-mindedly stretching my tongue to clean my teeth. Ayame, you're a girl, right? I asked innocently, causing Tuki to suppress a laugh. No, I am not, Ayame replied sarcastically. I nodded seriously, then turned to Tuki. Old man, why is Ayame-Nisan cross-dressing as a girl? I asked, puzzled. Tuki couldn't hold back anymore, he burst into laughter. Ayame, feigning annoyance, grabbed a spring onion to playfully hit me on the head. I quickly covered my head with my hands. Mercy, mercy, I screamed, and Ayame stopped, exhaling a deep sigh. What did you want to talk about with a woman? She asked, curiosity piqued. What kind of gifts do women like? I blurted out, seeing Ayame's face light up as she brushed her hair behind her ear. Ah, Naruto, I would love a new, she began, clearly misunderstanding. It's not for you, I corrected quickly, watching as her smile froze and then dropped. Okay, explain, Ayame said, her tone now all business. I told her everything about my dilemma with Hinata. I had no clue what to gift her. Okay, what gift were you going to initially give? Ayame asked. A dress, I replied tentatively. Too much, Ayame shot back quickly. A sword, I suggested next. Does she use swords? Ayame asked, raising an eyebrow. I shrugged, unsure. How about a bowl of ramen? Tuki chimed in, smiling at his own suggestion. I brightened at the idea, but Ayame was quick to dismiss it. No, she said firmly, then turned back to me. What does she like? I shrugged again, at a loss. Ayame sighed. Naruto, it's alright not to give her a gift. You've been friends for what, 4 days? 4 days, I confirmed. Okay, that. I don't think Hinata would like to get a gift after just 4 days of being friends. She could get overwhelmed by the gesture, Ayame advised wisely. I nodded, taking in her advice, when suddenly the chime of the system notification. Alert. World Quest. Quest title. Don't be late. Objective. Arrive at the academy on time. Time limit. 10 minutes. Closing square bracket. Rewards. 10 experience points. Enhanced reputation with class. Closing square bracket. Penalty for failure. Decrease in reputation with class. Closing square bracket. Action required. Acceptance or declination of quest. Gotta go, I said quickly, as I finished the last of my bowl, grabbed my jacket, and headed out to the academy. Ayame watched me leave, then turned to her father with a small smile. Really, a bowl of ramen? She teased. Chuki shrugged and replied with a chuckle, it worked on your mom. Ninja Academy. Lunch. Lunchtime found me alone with Iruka in the classroom, my head thudding against the table in frustration. Okay, what's wrong? Iruka asked, his voice a blend of concern and slight irritation. It's Hinata, I mumbled into the table. What about her? Iruka leaned in, trying to understand me better. I don't know what to get her, I admitted, finally lifting my head from the table. Iruka gave a small sigh at my dramatic woes. How about you get to know her a little better and then find her a gift? I'll do that, sensei, I replied, feeling a bit relieved by his practical advice. Good. Now, is there anything else I can help you with? Iruka shifted the topic, hoping to move on. I can't learn Bunshin, I blurted out, another pressing issue on my mind. I'm sure if you put some real effort into it, you could learn. Now, stop causing a scene, Iruka dismissed my concern lightly. But sensei, I protested, feeling misunderstood, I have too much chakra for it. There's no such thing as too much chakra, only not enough control, Iruka corrected me gently. So, how do I improve my control? I asked, the frustration clear in my voice. I've already taught you this. Try to remember, Iruka replied, a hint of exasperation in his tone. I frowned, trying hard to recall the lesson. Was it that stupid leaf thing? Yes, that stupid leaf thing is a very basic chakra control exercise, Iruka confirmed. I suggest you spend some time working on it if you want to improve your control enough to use Bunshin correctly. I groaned inwardly, not thrilled about revisiting such a simple exercise, but knowing it was necessary. Alert. Path Quest. Quest title. Mastery of Chakra Control. Objective. Perform the leaf chakra control exercise. This exercise involves focusing chakra to the soles of your feet to stick a leaf to them without using your hands. Demonstrating mastery in this will be crucial to your development as a shinobi. Closing square bracket. Rewards. New skill unlocked, chakra control. Experience points express 200. Penalty for failure, incomplete mastery of chakra control, hindering progress in advanced jutsu techniques. Closing square bracket. Action required. Acceptance or declination of quest chakra control, a fundamental skill for any shinobi, was emphasized heavily in the academy. The method they used to teach this vital skill was deceptively simple yet frustratingly difficult for many students. The exercise involved taking a dry leaf and sticking it to one's body using chakra. The students were then expected to perform various tasks, ranging from meditation to physical activities like running, all while keeping the leaf attached solely through the use of their chakra. For Naruto, this exercise was nothing short of a nightmare. He always found himself at odds with it, the leaf seeming to have a personal vendetta against him. No matter how hard he tried, the leaf simply refused to adhere to his skin. It was as if his chakra, abundant and unruly, repelled the leaf instead of attracting it. Quest title. Mastery of Chakra Control. Objective. Perform the leaf chakra control exercise. This exercise involves focusing chakra to the soles of your feet to stick a leaf to them without using your hands. Demonstrating mastery in this will be crucial to your development as a shinobi. Closing square bracket. Rewards. New skill unlocked, chakra control. Experience points express 200. Penalty for failure, incomplete mastery of chakra control, hindering progress in advanced jutsu techniques. Closing square bracket. Mastery of chakra control, huh? Easy peasy, or not, he mumbled to himself, picking up a dry leaf from the floor of his sparse apartment. The task was simple, yet for Naruto, it was as challenging as climbing a mountain barefoot. He had to stick the leaf to the sole of his foot using only his chakra. No hands, no tricks. Just pure chakra control. Alright, Leafy, you and me, we're gonna be best friends, Naruto declared, trying to infuse humor into his situation. He placed the leaf on the floor, stepped on it, and focused all his attention on channeling chakra to his foot. For a moment, the leaf wavered, as if considering whether to comply or defy. Then, almost mockingly, it fluttered away as Naruto lifted his foot. Traitor! Naruto accused the leaf, his voice echoing off the bare walls. I thought we had something special. Naruto paused and walked over to the drawer. To grab a marker. With a grin, he drew a face on the leaf. Good, now it won't feel weird, he murmured to himself, amused by his own creativity. He slapped the leaf onto his forehead, but it promptly fell to the floor. Naruto, feigning heartbreak, looked away with exaggerated tears in his eyes. How could you do this after all we've been through? He exclaimed dramatically, speaking to the leaf as if it were a treacherous lover. You cheated on me, you didn't stick around. He couldn't maintain the act any longer and burst into laughter. Not one to give up, Naruto tried again, this time attempting a new strategy. He balanced on one leg, resembling a flamingo more than a ninja, and concentrated hard. Come on, Leafy. Stick to my foot like you mean it. He urged. But once again, the leaf seemed unimpressed with his efforts and sailed away the moment he moved. Naruto paused and glared at the leaf resting in his hand. I never should have picked you up, he muttered, pointing an accusing finger at the leaf. My mother was right, I should have chosen the richer leaf between you and the Sakura leaf. Naruto let out a heavy sigh as he dramatically drew a tear onto the leaf, pretending it was crying. Don't cry, just stick to me, he said, half joking, trying to coax the leaf to adhere to his foot. In his next attempt, Naruto decided to add a bit of flair to the exercise. Maybe if I do it with style, it'll work, he reasoned. He struck a dramatic pose, pointed at his foot dramatically, and declared, by the power of the future Hokage, I command you to stick. The leaf, unfazed by Naruto's theatrics, simply fluttered to the ground, gracefully bowing out of the performance. Naruto's lips pursed into a thin line as he declared in a monotone voice, ha ha ha, 10 years dungeon. Rushing to the window, Naruto scooped up a handful of leaves and began drawing faces on them. He set up a dramatic play, positioning one leaf as the original, criminal, leaf and the others as, police, leaves. With a flurry of movement, he pretended that the original leaf was outmaneuvering and defeating the police leaves in an epic showdown. Naruto gasped dramatically, addressing the leaf, you are here to take my Hokage hat. He glared at the leaf and said sternly, just stick to me, and you can gain the Hokage hat. Naruto placed Leafy on his palm, concentrating intently, then turned his hand and watched as it fell down. Frustration mounting, Naruto sat down, glaring at the leaf. You know, Leafy, we could have been great together. We could have shown them all. But no, you had to be difficult. He tried different approaches, meditating, trying to sneak up on the leaf, even sweet-talking it. You know you're the most beautiful leaf I've ever seen, right? He cooed, hoping flattery would get him somewhere. But the leaf remained unattached, both emotionally and physically. Naruto's antics continued, each attempt more inventive and desperate than the last. He tried balancing the leaf on his foot while spinning, using motivational speeches, and even bargaining with it. If you stick to my foot, I'll never use a fire jutsu near you. How's that for a deal? He placed the leaf on his forehead, channeling his chakra to stick it there instead. If I can't be a great ninja, maybe I'll be a great forehead model, he mused, trying to lighten his mood. He stood still, concentrating hard, but as soon as he moved, the leaf floated down like a gentle parachute. Not a forehead fan, huh? How about my backhand? He continued, placing the leaf on the back of his hand. Behold, the amazing chakra-sticking hand. He kept his hand perfectly steady, a look of intense concentration on his face. But the moment he flicked his wrist, the leaf soared into the air like a freed bird. Okay, Leafy, you've made your point. You're not a fan of traditional methods, Naruto acknowledged, scratching his head. He then had a lightbulb moment. What if I use wind to my advantage? Yeah, that's it. Naruto carefully placed the leaf on his nose, lying flat on the ground. If I can balance this on my nose without using hands, I'm officially a chakra control master, he declared, closing his eyes to focus. As he lay there, the leaf wavered, teetering on the edge of his nose. Naruto held his breath, daring not to move a muscle. For a moment, it seemed like the leaf would stick, but then it slipped off, landing softly on his chest. Betrayed by my own nose, Naruto sighed. Sitting up, Naruto stared intently at the leaf. What makes you stick, huh? It's chakra, but chakra is always changing, he mused aloud. An idea sparked in his mind. What if I could make chakra dense and sticky, like honey? With renewed determination, Naruto focused his chakra, imagining it becoming thick and viscous. He placed the leaf on his forearm and concentrated hard, envisioning the chakra oozing around the leaf, holding it in place like glue. Slowly, he lifted his arm, moving it gently at first, then more briskly. To his amazement and delight, the leaf clung to his skin, unmoved by the motion. Objective: Leaf Chakra Control exercise successfully completed. Rewards granted. New skill acquired, Chakra Control. Experience points expressed 200. Yata! He exclaimed, his face lighting up with a triumphant grin. I did it! I made chakra sticky. Naruto jumped to his feet, a victorious whoop escaping his lips. Take that, stupid leaf exercise. Naruto Uzumaki, the chakra control master. He declared, striking a triumphant pose. Skill: Chakra Control, Level 1. Description: Fundamental skill for shinobi, essential for efficient use of chakra. This skill allows better manipulation and conservation of chakra for various jutsu. Closing square bracket. Passive enhancements. Chakra efficiency, decreases chakra consumption by 10% for all jutsu. Closing square bracket. Chakra recovery rate, improves passive chakra regeneration by 5%. Closing square bracket. Active enhancements. Chakra surge, temporarily increases chakra flow, boosting the effectiveness of jutsu by 15% for 30 seconds. Activation consumes additional chakra. Closing square bracket. Focus boost, for 30 seconds, enhances concentration, increasing the success rate of complex jutsu by 10%. Closing square bracket. There's a saying in the Nara clan, to be lazy or. But Shikamaru often found it too troublesome to finish the quote. He was relishing a rare moment of peace, no nagging from his mother or Ino, no shogi matches with his dad, just lying under the warm sun with a partially cloudy sky above and cool grass below. To him, this was paradise. That paradise was abruptly shattered by a familiar voice. Fuck off. Shikamaru sighed, I know that annoying voice. Naruto. He could hear arguments coming from the front gate. Reluctantly, Shikamaru stood and walked towards the commotion. There, he found 5 guards in a heated debate with Naruto. Look, how can we trust you that this isn't some prank? One guard challenged. Because of the damn seal on the box. Naruto yelled back, frustration clear in his voice. The guards remained unmoved, and Naruto looked ready to escalate things into a fight. Shikamaru sighed heavily. This is troublesome, he thought as he quickly moved to intervene. Recently, Sasuke's fan club had concocted a theory that Sasuke had intentionally held back during his fight with Naruto, knowing his Sharingan was about to awaken, because some girl had read that the Sharingan often awakened in war conditions and assumed Sasuke had engineered the situation. But Shikamaru knew better. Naruto had genuinely pushed Sasuke to the edge. This meant Naruto was truly skilled, and a fight between him and the guards could spell trouble. Shikamaru preferred to avoid such complications. He stepped in, hoping to defuse the situation before it could escalate into something more serious. Hey, Naruto, what's up? I've got a delivery for your family from Higurashi Weapons. But these guards are being jerks, Naruto said, annoyed. One guard began to argue, but Shikamaru cut him off and reached for the package. Thanks, Shikamaru said simply. Naruto handed over the package and the receipt for Shikamaru to sign. Thanks, man. You're a lifesaver, Naruto said with a smirk, taking back the signed receipt. Delivery success, completed just in time. Next step, return to Higurashi Weapons to claim your reward. Closing square bracket. Completion rewards. Experience points expressed 10. Currency, 500 Ryo. Reputation improvement. Your status with Higurashi Weapons has advanced from liked to honored. Closing square bracket. Naruto raced back to the shop, breathless but beaming, as Mr. Higurashi greeted him with a nod of appreciation for a week's worth of successful deliveries. "Hey, if you want to buy anything from the shop, you'll get a 50% discount, Mr. Higurashi offered generously. Naruto's smile widened as Mr. Higurashi pulled out a box. "I finally finished with your gear," he announced. Naruto's eyes lit up at the sight of his new or remade clothes, a sleeveless orange jacket, and pants that were much like his old ones but noticeably heavier. There were added pockets in the jacket and a blue long-sleeve shirt underneath. As Naruto examined the blue shirt in confusion, wondering, "Why is this here?" Mr. Higurashi answered, "This is my gift, Naruto." Overwhelmed, Naruto couldn't help but hug the clothes tightly, his face hidden as he absorbed the kindness of the gift. Item: bright orange sleeveless jacket. Material: thick cloth, lined with light chain mesh. Closing square bracket. Requirement: level 5 or higher. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers: Dex +3, STR +2, Vit +3, HP +20. Closing square bracket. Durability: 750/750ths. Closing square bracket. Description: this tough, short-sleeve jacket offers light protection against weapons. Ideal for combat situations requiring both mobility and a degree of armor. Closing square bracket. Caution: enhancements activate only for characters at level 5 and above. Clothing item is wearable. Closing square bracket. Item: bright orange light armored pants. Material: thick cloth, lined with light chain mesh. Closing square bracket. Protection level: light armor. Closing square bracket. Requirement: level 5 or higher. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers: health points HP +50, dexterity Dex +3, strength STR +2, vitality VIT +2, +5% effectiveness in stealth. Closing square bracket. Durability: 750/750ths. Closing square bracket. Description: these ankle-length pants are constructed for durability and protection. The combination of thick cloth and light chain mesh provides light defense against weapons. Closing square bracket. Item: dark blue gambeson. Material: thick cloth, lined with light leather mesh. Closing square bracket. Protection level: light armor. Closing square bracket. Requirement: level 3 or higher. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers: health points HP +25, dexterity Dex +3, vitality VIT +3, constitution Con +2, +5% effectiveness in stealth. Closing square bracket. Durability: 750/750ths. Closing square bracket. Description: this gambeson is crafted from thick cloth and lined with a light leather mesh, designed to offer substantial protection while maintaining flexibility. It is dyed a deep blue, which helps blend into shadows and night environments, making it ideal for stealth-oriented missions. The armor provides a boost to the wearer's health, agility, and resilience, enhancing survivability in combat situations. Closing square bracket. Caution: stat enhancements activate only for characters at level 5 and above. This clothing item is wearable and optimized for stealth and protection. Closing square bracket. Even without immediate stat enhancements, the clothes were awesome. I think you should buy some gloves and shin guards, Mr. Higurashi suggested, bringing Naruto back to the present. As the discount on all items are just one. Naruto asked, hopeful. Just one, Mr. Higurashi replied. Come on, I'll do more deliveries, Naruto bargained, eager to extend his discount. Fine, when I need you for more deliveries, I'm not going to pay you, Mr. Higurashi countered. Naruto mumbled, cheapskate, under his breath, barely audible. What was that? Mr. Higurashi challenged, raising an eyebrow. Where is the changing room? Naruto quickly changed the subject, eager to try on his new gear. Mr. Higurashi pointed to the left, his expression softening into a smile at Naruto's eagerness. Item: black fingerless gloves with metal backplate. Material: durable fabric with metal plating. Closing square bracket. Protection level: moderate. Closing square bracket. Requirement: level 3 or higher. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers: armor class AC +5, +5% enhancement to parry. Closing square bracket. Durability: 500/500. Closing square bracket. Description. These fingerless gloves offer a solid grip and enhanced protection thanks to the metal back plate. Suitable for scenarios requiring both dexterity and defense. Closing square bracket. Item analysis. Gray and black shin guard. Material. Protective composite. Closing square bracket. Protection level. Basic shin defense. Closing square bracket. Requirement. Level 5 or higher. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers. AC +5. Closing square bracket. Durability. 400/400. Closing square bracket. Description. Designed for shin protection, these guards provide basic defense while maintaining mobility. The gray and black color scheme offers a functional aesthetic without drawing attention, ideal for various shinobi activities that require additional leg protection. Closing square bracket. Item. Black Genin Shinobi Sandals. Material. Leather and wood. Closing square bracket. Requirement. Level 5. Closing square bracket. Stat modifiers. Health points HP +100, Agility AGI +5, +5% effectiveness in stealth. Closing square bracket. Durability. 500/500. Closing square bracket. Description. These sandals are tailored for genin, offering a perfect balance between flexibility, chakra flow, and protection. The robust material provides a moderate boost to health and stealth, making them suitable for a variety of missions and terrain. Closing square bracket. So, how much do I owe you? Naruto asked, feeling a bit anxious about the total. Hidden tallied everything on the counter. That'll be 5,550 ryo. Naruto's face fell, but then he remembered something. Mr. Higurashi, would you be willing to do a trade of sorts? He asked. I'm listening, replied the shopkeeper, intrigued. At Mr. Higurashi's words, Naruto pulled out a piece of refined ore he had obtained from the rat dungeon. Mr. Higurashi immediately began to inspect it closely. Where did you get this? He inquired, his interest clearly piqued. Will you believe me if I said it is from a colony of rats? Naruto joked. Must be some colony, Mr. Higurashi mused, still examining the ore. This ore is very pure. Yeah, the bill will be covered by this, but I feel bad taking this in exchange for some gear. How about this? I owe you 5k. Seriously, how valuable is that ore? Naruto asked, surprised by the offer. Not much by itself, Mr. Higurashi explained, but what we can make from it is something truly valuable. Naruto nodded, amazed at the unexpected value of his find and grateful for Mr. Higurashi's fair dealing. Naruto, with a spark of curiosity, asked, don't suppose you have a book on intermediate and advanced academy taijutsu just lying around? Hidden looked surprised by the question. My daughter might have one, but I doubt she's ever used it. Really? Naruto's eyes lit up. Could I buy it from you? I'll need to check with her first. She's on a mission but should be back by Friday. Check back then, Hidden replied. Awesome. Naruto exclaimed, his enthusiasm momentarily pausing as he tried to figure out how to broach the next topic. Something you need, Naruto? Mr. Higurashi asked, noticing Naruto's hesitation as he scratched the back of his head. Do you have any idea what gift I should give my girlfriend? And, before I forget, we've known each other for a week, Naruto said, looking hopeful yet slightly confused about the distinction between a girlfriend and a friend who is a girl. You have come to the right place, Mr. Higurashi replied, his tone a mix of shock, pride, and respect, for reasons Naruto couldn't quite discern. Why do I feel like I said something very wrong? Thank for listening. Do hope you enjoy. If you guy enjoyed, if you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below and turn on the bell notifications, and also check out the other videos that have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.